Ladies and gents, boys and girls, TGIF, happy Friday. Hope you are all doing well. Chris Phillips here, your host of the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. As always, it is game day eve here on this Friday. Gamecocks set to take on the Furman Paladins tomorrow night at Williams-Brice Stadium, and looking forward to the home opener in Columbia, South Carolina. I see GA, Brendan M., Brian Alexander, Kens, Jeff Gullidge, Mantis, Ethan K., Travi, Jeremy Smith. What's going on? Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord, head over to the TDC Questions channel. The TDC Questions channel, to be sure your questions are answered there. We have a ton to get into, a jam-packed show here on this Friday. Everything, guys, from our Q&A Power Hour in hour number 3. We've got my good friend Jake Crain of Crain and Company in hour number 2. And then, of course, hour number 1. You guys know the rundown at this point on Fridays. I lock in my predictions for South Carolina's game. We do SEC Pick'em, also prize picks, plays of the weekend. And we've got a bonus topic, something that we will address later in the show to kick off the Q&A Power Hour, just before I take your questions, your comments, and your calls. And I'll tease it with this. This hat that I'm wearing, this Richardson 112 trucker hat, this Welcome Home Comfort Colors t-shirt, these were products that were not available at tsus.store over the last couple of months. I am very happy and proud to say that that is no longer the case. As I mentioned, we will spend some time later in the show giving you guys some very important updates and some things that are relevant to all of those who love the TSUS brand, who love the merchandise, who love the business, who support everything we do. So again, guys, we'll touch on that much more later in the show. Either way, guys, like I mentioned, it is game day eve. Gamecocks and Furman tomorrow night. Do not forget the TSUS post-game call-in show will take place within 10 minutes of the conclusion of Gamecocks and Paladins at Williams-Brice. Of course, I'll post my post-game video, what have you, my updates. And right after that, we will go live right here, taking your questions, comments, calls, as we're doing right now. You guys know the drill from last week. Was a massive success after the UNC game, and I'm expecting nothing differently after South Carolina takes on Furman. Outside of that, guys, like I mentioned, jam-packed show, Q&A Power Hour in hour number 3. I want to continue to hear your score predictions, how you think things are going to shake out tomorrow. The weather may be a factor. Looks like it might be a rainy day outside, or inside, I should say, excuse me, of Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. Going to be a lot of fun for sure. Also, guys, one side note on the merchandise side of business. We will have Beamer Ball t-shirts, black, white, and garnet, and some hats as well, including Clem Sucks, Beamer Rattler 23, and Beamer Ball. We'll have those products for sale outside of Williams-Brice Stadium, guys. Tomorrow morning, I will let you all know the exact location. So if you want to swing by, grab yourself a t-shirt, grab yourself a hat, what have you. We take Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, cash, everything you can think of. We do it. I think card will be the only thing we don't take this year. Either way, more details on that as we get to game day tomorrow. And again, guys, I cannot say thank you enough truly for the love, for the support, for your feedback also. Your feedback helps us run this thing. Your feedback helps us do things and improve and be better and be the best possible version of ourselves for the people that matter. And the people that matter are the end consumers and those who love and support our content, our business, our merchandise, and beyond. So again, guys, with that being said, like I mentioned, we have got a lot to get into here on this Friday, as it is Prediction Friday. Gamecocks and Paladins set to do battle in the home opener at Williams-Brice Stadium. And I think the question we're asking ourselves going into this one is this. What can we really learn from this ball game? Because it's one of those games, and every SEC team, every Power 5 team, they face this when taking on an FCS team. If you win by 50 or 60 points, well, you were supposed to do that. Who cares? No big deal. And if you don't, if you're in a dogfight late in the fourth quarter, or God forbid you lose the ball game, it is undoubtedly a black eye on your program. Either way, after week 1 against North Carolina, the Gamecocks come in licking their wounds, looking to find something to feel good about. And I know many of you have been exhausted with the commentary this week about Furman. Chris, why are you trying to gas Furman up like that? Do you actually think Furman's that good? Do you even remotely think this could be a close ball game? Let me first say this, guys. None of the commentary from yours truly, at least, has been fluff or fabricated to make you think Furman is any more or any less than what they are. The bottom line is this, guys. This is not your typical cupcake, run-of-the-mill FCS team. This is a damn good football team. A team that returned 38 of 44 players from their two deep a season ago. Their starting quarterback in Tyler Huff. All-conference running back Dominic Roberto. Top 3 pass catchers, 3 of 5 on the offensive line, including a preseason All-American in Pearson Toomey. On the defensive side, they returned 3 of 4 up front. Their top 2 linebackers and an all-conference defensive back. These guys are not scrubs, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a Furman team. I believe the numbers state they've won 8 of their last 9, and their only loss was to Clemson. And that was a game that was very close until the second half. A game in which, yes, Clemson won that by 23, but Furman outgained the Tigers. Now, with all of that being said, South Carolina should win this football game. That is not up for debate. This is an SEC football team we're talking about. An SEC roster. South Carolina should have no problem in disposing of the Paladins. But as I stated previously, winning's only part of the equation this weekend. It's about how you do it. Do you look like an SEC roster taking on an FCS team? Do you look like a roster full of SEC caliber players taking on a roster full of very good, don't get me wrong, but FCS caliber players? Guys, it all starts in the trenches. We all know that. South Carolina's offensive and defensive lines were both abysmal a week ago, just 7 days prior. 9 sacks surrendered, 16 tackles for loss, -2 rushing yards. On the defensive side, 0 sacks and just 1 tackle for loss. The Gamecocks are licking their wounds, guys. And this serves as the final tune-up, if you will, before SEC play. And SEC play begins in a rude way with the Georgia Bulldogs. If you're going to have any semblance of a chance, any semblance of hope, you need to put on an impressive showing and, more importantly, figure some things out about your football team. How much better can the offensive line be in just 7 days? How much better can the execution get in just 7 days? How much more disruptive can the defensive front get in just 7 days? Is South Carolina able to still play at a high level without some of its best players? As we know, No Nicky Manwari in this ball game. No David Spalding. No Jatius Gear. Those are 3 big losses for this game. Those are 3 big absences. There's the word I was looking for. Absences from this game. As I told you guys after UNC, and I stick by it right now, South Carolina's defensive line, I'm worried. I'm worried about the front 4. I'm worried about the pass rush. I'm worried about the disruptiveness. I'm worried about stopping the run. No Mo Kaba either, as we all know, which is just such an unfortunate situation. Where do the answers come from defensively? And then on the offensive side, I am fascinated to see, do we see different personnel groupings? Do we see South Carolina try some different things up front? Or is it the same 5 guys and this staff is just keeping their fingers crossed, hoping and praying that those guys find something? You know, guys, it's not a matter, like I mentioned, of if South Carolina is going to win this football game. Because admittedly, and after you lose the way you did in week 1, I totally get it. I understand the frustration. I understand folks feeling down and out. But we've seen this before. And I'm not saying that makes it any better. But the fact of the matter is we've seen this before from a Shane Beamer coached football team, to where South Carolina plays their worst, and for reasons that are beyond comprehension, uses that as a spark to turn around and play damn near their best. And so it would not surprise me to see that yet again. The season's not over, guys. It's just been one game. One game out of 12. If you're giving up on the season at this point, you didn't watch anything that happened last year. The mood around Gamecock Nation has actually been very similar to what it was after that Florida game late in the season. In South Carolina, what did they do? Did the unthinkable and beat Tennessee and beat Clemson. With that being said, South Carolina has started slow under Shane Beamer. They have not really hit their stride as a football until, at minimum, the halfway point. And despite the FCS opponent, which all due respect to the Paladins, guys, like I mentioned, I love their football team. I don't think that despite playing an FCS team, all of a sudden, South Carolina hits the ground running and has it all figured out in week 2. Because I just, there are some things, guys, there are deficiencies, there's problems that you can't get fixed in 7 days' time. If you couldn't get it figured out in 15 practices in a month of fall camp, why would anyone believe that all of a sudden you can say, oh, well, the UNC tape makes sense. Let's just flip a switch. The light bulb cuts on, and now we're a 9-win football team. I don't think that's realistic to expect. How much does the weather affect this football game? If it's a rainy night at Willie B, is there more emphasis on the ground game? And does that hurt South Carolina and help Furman? That being said, I do think, guys, early on, even up to halftime, I think this game is going to be uncomfortable. I don't think this is going to be, and that's, as I mentioned earlier, the unfortunate part is there's no margin of victory that's going to cure what happened in week 1. But I don't think this is going to be a game in which South Carolina fans leave feeling like all is fixed. I don't think anybody's going to leave this game feeling like, oh, well, we turned a corner. We corrected every aspect of everything we did incorrectly. Number one, because I don't think that's feasible. Number two, Furman is not just going to roll their helmets out there and accept the beating. They're coming in to win. Make no mistake. I think South Carolina gets off to somewhat of a slow start. I think the home faithful are going to be restless early. I could see this game being 17-10 at halftime. I really could. I could see this being a one-score game at the half. I do think South Carolina's offensive line will play better, but that's because they can't play any worse. I believe South Carolina has real issues on the offensive front, guys. And defensively as well. I think Furman will do their best with Tyler Huff's running ability and Dominic Roberto to keep South Carolina off the field. I think they're going to try to limit the possessions. And I'd expect Spencer Rattler to have another productive day. Now, what does that mean? Hey, what's the status of Juice Wells? Is Juice Wells, number one, actually going to play? And number two, can he actually finish the game? I do think you're going to see a lot more of South Carolina's weapons get involved. The tight end group, Trey Knox, Joshua Simon, would not be surprised if one of them had a touchdown reception in this ball game. I do think Spencer Rattler will take care of the football. I think we're going to see more personnel. I think we're going to see this coaching staff try some different things, try some different pieces. And then defensively, I think it's going to be a struggle stopping the run. I really do. I think it's going to be an absolute struggle stopping the run for South Carolina. But I think that opportunistic nature of Clayton White's defense, I think there will be a couple of turnovers. I think Furman pressing late in this ball game in the second half as the Gamecocks start to pull away, which I think they will, because I think South Carolina, even if they're not able to run the ball and stop the run all that effectively, guys, I think the Gamecocks will out-athlete the Furman Paladins. Simply put, this is an SEC roster against an FCS roster. And even if South Carolina this year is doomed for 5-7, they're still far superior to what an FCS roster provides. With that being said, I think South Carolina does pull away in the second half. I think it's very uncomfortable early. I really do. And if the Gamecocks don't protect the football, this could be a game that it's uncomfortable into the second half. The longer you let Furman hang around, the more the upset comes into play. And again, guys, I'm not trying to overhype Furman or scare you about this football game, but after the way South Carolina played in week one, I'd put nothing past this group. Because if you're that bad on the line of scrimmage, Furman can beat you. Good news is I don't think South Carolina will be that bad. I think they've heard about how bad they are all week. I do think this is a football team and a program. We talk about the culture. One of the things that stands out about this football program's culture under Shane Beamer is resiliency and bounce back and toughness. And I think we will see that. I think this team will play much better. And while it may be dicey a little bit early on, I think South Carolina, again, out-athletes the Furman Paladins. I think they pull away late. I've got the Gamecocks getting their first victory on the 2023 season. Lock me in. South Carolina, 38. Furman, 20. Again, I think it's a successful home opener. I think there will be positives coming out of this ball game. Will it be the desired margin of victory that a lot of this fan base is clamoring for? Guys, as I mentioned previously, I don't think you can win by enough to satisfy the appetite. But I think there will be positives and some things to cling to in an 18-point win over Furman as you put the final tune-ups behind you and get ready to take on Georgia to begin SEC play. Guys, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our first break of the day. Let me also say thank you to Todd Smith for the Super Chat. I just saw that come in during the segment, so thank you so much. Guys, that being said, like I mentioned, we're going to jump into our first break on the side. We'll keep the conversation rolling here on this Friday. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge, where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also brought to you by our friends over at A1 Air Quality Consultants. Headaches, coughing, running nose while in the office or just in your home, call A1 Air Quality Consultants to have your air checked today. From Columbia to Asheville, Anderson to Charlotte, they are your breath of fresh air for all of your air quality needs. Be sure to give them a call or shoot them a text today at 864-619-2092. That's 864-619-2092. You can also contact them via email at a1airqualityconsultants@gmail.com. Be sure to check them out. We thank A1 Air Quality Consultants for their love and support of the Spurs Up Show, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya.
Marshall Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Friday, September the 8th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Game day eve. Cannot wait for a packed day of college football beginning tomorrow at 11 a.m. Vandy and Wake Forest. Get us going, guys, for all those college football sickos like me and you and all of us. We'll be up watching that game for sure. Again, guys, looking forward to it. Week 2 of the college ball slate. Do not forget, in hour number 3, our Q&A Power Hour will get rolling, taking your questions, comments, calls at 843-790-3377. Also, of course, hour number 2, our good friend Jake Crain of Crain and Company, which I think, unfortunately, Jake is coming to dance on our graves. As I hate to say it, he called it. I hate to say it. Jake Crain called it in regards to talking about the line of scrimmage, South Carolina's deficiencies there. And I mean, we knew it was a problem, but we didn't want to hear what Jake had to say. And all of a sudden, that 5-7 he picked coming into focus a little bit. Coming into focus just a little bit. Either way, though, we're going to have a great conversation with our good friend Jake Crain. My guy Austin Gregory pointing out the fact we got lots of Austins in. We literally have 3 Austins in the Big Cock Club Discord. That is kind of a weird thing. We have lots of Austins in the Discord. We have tons of Travises in TDC, which is a lot of fun. It's really cool. We got Travis Allen, and I think we've got some others as well. I know there's others I'm just forgetting, so I do apologize. Either way, guys, we're going to keep the conversation rolling here on this Friday. And as we do every single Friday, it's time for SEC Pick'em Week 2. We got a packed slate of games, and I'm locking in my picks for all of the SEC action taking place tomorrow. And we start in Winston-Salem. Vanderbilt travels to Wake Forest to take on the Demon Deacons. Wake Forest in this one, I believe, is a 10-point favorite. Vandy sits at 2-0. And as we mentioned, those 2 wins have come against Hawaii and Alabama A&M. Wake Forest won their first game against Elon. This is a huge game for Vandy if they are going to hit that over 3.5 win total. Even if they don't win this game, it's still possible. But here's the kicker. If Vandy wins this game, they can hit the over on the win total in non-conference play, because I believe their other non-conference opponent is I forget the actual opponent, but it's somebody much lesser than, even than Vandy. If they do not win this game, Vandy will have to win an SEC game. So which team is it going to be? Do they beat Kentucky again? Do they upset Mizzou? God forbid, do they upset the Gamecocks? Do they take down an Auburn? Do they something crazy happen? They beat Georgia? Like, I have no idea. So this is a massive game, and especially, Clark Lee's made the statement, hey, hitting the over win total, that's not our goal. Our goal is to get to bowl eligibility. If they're going to do that, I think you have to win this one, and I think Vandy does it. Give me the Commodores in the upset. I think Vandy moves to 3-0. I love A.J. Swan on the road in this one. Their playmakers, Will Shepherd, Jaden McGowan, they've got some issues on the offensive front. I like their young playmakers, though. Their freshman running back, I think, has been really good for them. If they can get some quality play from their secondary, which the good thing is this, Wake Forest no longer has Sam Hartman, right? So this is not the same Wake Forest team. This is not the same Wake Forest program. Give me Vanderbilt in the upset, right? SEC Week 1 had really tough sledding against the ACC, with South Carolina falling to North Carolina, LSU falling to Florida State. I think Vandy carries the SEC banner, and they take down Wake Forest in Winston-Salem. We move to Lexington. The Kentucky Wildcats taking on Eastern Kentucky. Kentucky wins this one, and they win big. I think Devin Leary, Liam Cohen, that offense, I think they get rolling. I think physicality, again, is the word of the week in Lexington. I think UK cruises in this one as they get themselves prepped for SEC play and navigate through the early part of their schedule. Miami hosting Texas A&M. And, guys, as I mentioned previously, I locked in Texas A&M -4. And I'm not backing off that. I'm a believer in the Bobby Petrino offense in College Station. I'm a believer in Connor Wegman. I'm a believer in Anaya Smith and Evan Stewart, that array of weapons. I'm a believer in that defensive line, that defense as a whole, and I'm a believer in this roster. It's one of the most talented rosters in college football. I think the only reason, and Miami's a solid program. Tyler Van Dyke, their quarterback, they've got some weapons. But I think the only reason, guys, this line is so close is because we don't know what we're getting from A&M yet. People are so scared to give any credit to the Aggies because of getting burned last year. And I'm not saying that's not fair, but you know what? I say it every year that I won't do it. I'm doing it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I got A&M winning this football game. I think they win it by double digits. I think they win it big. I think they take down Miami in Coral Gables and move to 2-0. Tennessee taking on Austin, PA. Not close. A lot of points. Nico gets in the ball game late, tosses a couple of touchdowns to, I think, make a lot of pressure on Joe Milton, believe it or not, going in that Florida game. I think as Nico plays well, I think there's going to be a portion of the fan base that's almost waiting on Joe Milton to fall, which is not really fair, but it is what it is. So Tennessee wins big. Nico plays well late. A lot of offensive fireworks in this one. Tennessee moves to 2-0. Same thing with Missouri, Middle Tennessee State. I think Mizzou gets it up. I actually think this, though, is closer than people are expecting. Middle Tennessee, not as bad a team as they showed against Alabama. Alabama is just that good. So I think Brady Cook, QB1, Luther Burden, I think you're going to see big plays. And then that suffocating defense, that's really what Mizzou is hanging their hat on this year and should be hanging their hat on. But I do think Middle Tennessee makes this one a little bit uncomfortable. But Missouri will get the W in Como. Florida taking on McNeese in a night game at the Swamp. I've got the Gators. I think they bounce back in a big way. It's getting back to the running game for Florida. Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne, winning at the point of attack on the offensive line, dominating in the trenches. The defense was not the problem against Utah. It was the offense. But Graham Mertz does not need to be put in a position where he's being asked to throw for 300 yards and you're only getting like 20 or 30 yards rushing out of your top two ball carriers. Florida's got to get back to running the football, running it effectively. I think they do that in this one, and I think they run away with a victory against McNeese. We go to the West Coast. I know I'm kind of jumping around in regards to kickoff times, but this is how our graphic is laid out. Cal is hosting the Auburn Tigers. Now, I love the over in this one, and I can't wait to stay up late and watch this ball game. But I love the over, right? I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. Back and forth. We got two really, really good offensive coordinators. You have Spavital, I believe it is, with Cal, and Chip Lindsey with Auburn. Or, excuse me, it's Phil Montgomery. Chip Lindsey's UNC. Phil Montgomery with Auburn, excuse me. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this football game. But I think Hugh Freeze was on to something when he pleaded with his fan base for patience. It's not going to happen overnight. And although Auburn's the favorite in this one, I like Cal. And I like Cal straight up to beat Auburn. Auburn drops a tough one on the road going out to the West Coast. I like Cal a lot. I like their offensive attack and what they present, the challenges that they present, a defense. And all in all, again, I just think with Auburn, I think it's going to be up and down this year. I think year one of Hugh Freeze, you expect that in year one of new coaches. I think it's going to be up and down. I think this will be one of those hiccups. I think Cal takes down Auburn at their place and gets the W. Georgia taking on Ball State. Again, ho-hum. This is a yawn fest. Georgia will do whatever they want, and this is more about Georgia and their final tune-up before they take on the Gamecocks next weekend to begin SEC play. I think Carson Beck will be – I don't want to say he'll be much better because it's not like he was bad, right, against UT Martin in their week one game. I think you're going to see more wrinkles offensively, though. I think Georgia's going to open up the playbook a little bit. I think Kirby Smart, it's continuing to fight complacency, and it's really hard to get your team fired up to play these small non-conference opponents. But I think Georgia, I think they put on a little bit of a better showing early in the ball game. I think Georgia controls this one start to finish. Dogs win big. Ole Miss goes out to New Orleans to take on Tulane. This has got the makings, guys, of one of the most fun games of the afternoon, a 3:30 kick. Lots of points being scored. I love the over. I also love Ole Miss to go in there and get the job done. I know this is a top 25 matchup in Tulane. They beat Southern Cal in the bowl game. I just don't think they have the horses to keep up with Ole Miss from start to finish. I love Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, what we saw in week one. They've got Trey Harris, I believe it is, on the outside, big-time weapon for them. I think that Pete Golding defense, I think, is going to continue to show those improvements. But I do think it's going to be an offensive shootout. I really do. But I think Ole Miss just has more in the chamber than Tulane does. Lock me in for Ole Miss getting the W. Arkansas and Kent State. Arkansas rolls. KJ Jefferson. Rocket Sanders. Guys, did you see the video, by the way? If you have not, go on our timeline. I posted it. Go check out the video of KJ Jefferson. Literally like a bowling ball. Just boop. Guy runs at him full speed and bounces off of KJ Jefferson. Like, you can't teach that. You cannot teach that size. You cannot teach that physicality. This dude is Cam Newton Jr. back there, and nobody on Kent State's roster is going to be able to stop him. LSU returns home to take on Grambling. LSU wins. LSU wins big, guys. Similar to how many of you are not throwing the Gamecocks season's chances away after 1 week, I'm not doing that to LSU either. I think LSU, my mind doesn't change a whole lot about them as a football team leaving week one. I'm more so impressed with what Florida State did than what LSU did not do. So I think LSU comes home. I think they get some things figured out. They'll pick apart Grambling, but it's more about LSU getting some things right. I'm curious to see how they adjust with Harold Perkins. Do they continue to use him in that off-ball linebacker role? Do they put him more in the traditional spot he was in last year? You know, offensively, I think Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, I think they cook. I think the running game gets going. LSU wins big, and I think more importantly, they figure some things out on their home field. Of course, guys, already locked in Gamecocks taking down Furman. We move to Mississippi State and Arizona. This one in Stark Vegas. Arizona sits as a 10-point underdog. And guys, I've already gone on record, picked Arizona plus 10. I think this is a really close back-and-forth ball game. Mississippi State still figuring some things out offensively under Kevin Barbay. Will Rogers getting used to things. Mississippi State fans are not used to leaning on a running game. They're not used to running the football and stopping the running, kind of playing that quote-unquote boring brand, but that's what they're going to have. And I think it's going to pay off for them this season. I just think Mississippi State fans have to embrace this new era of football. If they can do that, I think they'll be very happy. This is going to be a really fun ball game, really close ball game. I think it's back and forth. I do have Mississippi State, though, pulling out a close one. I think it's a close one in Starkville. Like Arizona plus 10, like Mississippi State straight up. I think they get the W. Night game in Starkville as well. I think the atmosphere will help. But I do think State will do enough to move to 2-0 ahead of a huge game next weekend as they take on LSU in Stark Vegas. And finally, the big one. Alabama hosting Texas in Tuscaloosa. Everyone in the college football world has their eyes on this ball game. Guys, pretty much everybody I know that's in college football, that's in media of some sort, like they're going to Tuscaloosa. I feel kind of left out in that regard. Either way, though, this is going to be a fun one, man. I got to say, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, admittedly, I'm going to be watching Carolina Furman on one screen and Bama Texas on another because I cannot wait to see this game. Texas is back. We've heard that, right? Texas is back. Is Texas back? Finally, Quinn Ewers, Steve Sarkisian, Xavier Worthy, a revamped defense. They're back. And every time we say that, Texas falls flat. On Alabama's side, I'm so intrigued to discover who is Jalen Milroe really. You know, Bama's talked about playing this bully ball type of attack, and I think they will. I think they're going to run the football. I think their goal is going to be pummel Texas into submission on the line of scrimmage. Here's my biggest thing, guys. I picked Texas over the course of the offseason. I picked Alabama to go 9-3. Guys, I don't think Alabama's issues are fixed because they beat Middle Tennessee State by 50 points. Give credit where credit's due. Bama looked really good in doing so. Jalen Milroe on the deep ball, his athleticism. They've got a stable of running backs. They're big. They're physical on the line of scrimmage. What you'd expect from the Crimson Tide. But I got to see more. Like, there's a reason we doubted this group all offseason. I think Jalen Milroe is a great athlete. I'm not sold on him yet. Now, we get to the end of the game against Texas, and he's played well, and they just beat Texas, then I'll tip my cap and pay, I'll eat crow for sure. But I'm not sold on Jalen Milroe yet. I'm not sold on him being this, this fantastic quarterback. Can he not turn the football over? What does he do when those windows shrink down? On the other side, I believe in Quinn Ewers. I believe in Texas. I believe in Steve Sarkisian as a head coach. He's one of the best damn head coaches in all of college football. And I think Texas, yes, it's tough going into T-Town, going into Tuscaloosa. I think they're going to want to make a statement coming into the SEC next season. They're going to want to make a statement that, you know what? We're not just coming to the league. We're coming to compete, and we're coming to win and win titles. I'm not going to sit here and say Texas is back. But Texas is on the way back, and they're going to beat Alabama. They're going to expose Jalen Milroe. I don't believe Jalen Milroe will not turn the football over when the game's on the line. I don't believe that this Alabama football team will be disciplined. They're one of the worst in the country at doing that last year. Should have lost to Texas last year. If Quinn Ewers does not get hurt, they lose that ball game. I don't think Quinn Ewers gets knocked out of this one early. I think he plays all 4 quarters, and I think he leads Texas to victory. Hook 'em horns. Give me Texas taking down Alabama in a huge victory for Steve Sarkisian and that group from Texas. Guys, we're going to jump into a quick break on the other side. We'll keep the conversation rolling here on this Friday. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also brought to you by our friends over at A1 Air Quality Consultants. Headaches, coughing, running nose while in the office or just in your home, call A1 Air Quality Consultants to have your air checked today. From Columbia to Asheville, Anderson to Charlotte, they are your breath of fresh air for all of your air quality needs. Be sure to give them a call or shoot them a text today at 864-619-2092. That's 864-619-2092. 2092. You can also contact them via email at a1airqualityconsultants@gmail.com. Be sure to check them out. We thank A1 Air Quality Consultants for their love and support of the Spurs Up Show, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya.
Muscle Dougie Ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Friday, September the 8th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Again, thank you all so much for the continued love and support. And we got a lot to get into, guys. Again, our Q&A Power Hour number 3. Jake Crain going to join us in about, 30 minutes or so. Looking forward to chatting with him, talking all things Gamecocks, SEC, and everything in between. In the meantime, let's move into our prize picks plays of the weekend for week 2 of the college football season. And guys, I think this has kind of become a Friday thing, right? I was planning on talking all gambling on Tuesdays because, of course, that's when we lock in our MyBookie bets of the weekend. But prize picks does take a little bit longer to get these plays out there because it depends on injury reports and who's playing and who's not and what have you. So we respect that. Either way, though, be sure you guys hear the promo code or the ad read, I should say, every single day. Be sure to play with our friends at Prize Picks. So, again, without further ado, our Week 2 Prize Picks plays. And there is a lot of value on the board this week. I've got 7 plays that I'm going with. And over is the word of the weekend because we are smashing a lot of overs all throughout the day tomorrow. We start Texas A&M and Miami. I'm going with Aggies quarterback Connor Wegman over 238.5 passing yards. Like I mentioned, you guys, I'm a believer in not just Bobby Petrino and the offense, but Connor Wegman, that array of weapons. I think they're going to throw the football up and down the field on this Miami secondary on the way to victory. Guys, like I mentioned, the only reason that this spread is so close is because nobody really knows what to get or what we're getting, I should say, out of Texas A&M. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I think Connor Wegman has the ability to be a top half at minimum of the league quarterback in the SEC. I think he shows that tomorrow. I don't think 238.5 is even remotely enough in this one. Give me Connor Wegman over 238.5 passing yards. Sticking with that game, who's going to be one of his top targets? Anais Smith. Over 41.5 receiving yards. This one feels like a no freaking brainer. Like I said, guys, they're going to throw the ball up and down the field. Connor Wegman's going to eat. Anais Smith's going to eat. They're all going to eat, guys. They're going to have a fantastic outing. I think Anais Smith will make some big-time plays in the passing game. He might get that total on one play. Truly, he might get that on one play. So, lock me and Anais Smith over 41.5. If you cannot tell, a big offensive day for Texas A&M tomorrow in Coral Gables. We move to Michigan UNLV. I got Blake Corum over 79.5 rushing yards. I think Michigan's going to have their way with UNLV, guys. I don't think that's any concern. And this really is just me banking on the skill and the talent and the greatness that is Blake Corum. UNLV, not very good against the run. I think Michigan, that big physical offensive line, I think they're going to push them around all day. The only thing we might run into here, the challenge is, does Blake Corum get enough carries, right? Does he get enough carries to hit this total? I think he does. I think he hits it with ease. Over 79.5 for Blake Corum in this game against UNLV. We move to Ole Miss and Tulane. Rebels running back Quinshon Judkins. As I mentioned, guys, I think it's going to be offensive fireworks in this one as well. I've got Quinshon Judkins over 108.5 rushing yards. I know Tulane's defense, their defensive line specifically, which was coached by Travian Robertson, was very good a season ago. Here's the kicker. Travian Robertson is obviously not there anymore. I think Ole Miss, here's the thing. Everybody thinks about Ole Miss's offense under Lane Kiffin is throwing the football. And I mean, they throw it very well. But the reason they throw it very well, guys, they run the ball better than anybody in college football damn near. I think Quinshon Judkins, he's the best running back in all of college football, and I think he has a field day. Over 108.5 rushing yards. We go out to the West Coast. Southern Cal taking on Stanford, guys. You already know I've got the minus 30. Southern Cal taking down the Cardinal. I think one of their top receivers, Williams, 47.5 receiving yards in this ball game. Like I mentioned, Caleb Williams, their quarterback, is going to have a fantastic day. I think it's going to be offensive fireworks. This dude is playing out of his mind this season. And like I said, guys, one of his top targets in this ball game is Mario Williams, the fantastic wide receiver. 47.5 is the total. I think he smashes that with ease. Again, guys, like I mentioned, I think Southern Cal is going to go up and down and up and down the field in this ball game. No problem for Mario Williams, the over 47.5. We move to Vanderbilt and Wake Forest. Jaden McGowan, over 51.5 receiving yards. I think Will Shepard, McGowan, they're going to split this thing up. I do think Vandy wins the ball game. I think A.J. Swan will be very efficient. I think his offensive line gives him enough time. And I think Jaden McGowan is the go-to big play threat for Swan. 51.5 receiving yards. I think he hits that with ease. And finally, to Tuscaloosa we go. Alabama and Texas. And as I mentioned, Alabama is going to play bully ball. They're going to run the football. And those windows that Jalen Milroe was throwing in against Middle Tennessee State, they're going to be much, much, much tighter this weekend than they were last. Jalen Milroe's over-under passing yards total is 203.5. Guys, I'm smashing the under on that one. The first under we've played and the only under we're playing out of these 7 picks, but I love the under. As I mentioned, I think the game plan for Alabama will be to run the football. I think Texas will take away the deep ball. And as I mentioned, I just think that the windows are going to shrink for Jalen Milroe. I don't think, and I've got to see it from Milroe. I've got to see him convert and make those throws against elite level competition before I crown him. And I will be happy to eat crow on Monday. I will be happy to admit I was wrong. But until we see it, one game against Middle Tennessee State is not going to convince me that Jalen Milroe is some elite level passer. I'm not saying he's going to play terribly. But 203.5, I think that's too much. You also have to factor in how much is Jalen Milroe going to tuck it and run. I think that's going to be a huge part of his game in this ball game. So the under 203.5 for Bama quarterback Jalen Milroe, one of my favorite plays on the board. So again, going back over these, Connor Wegman over 238.5 passing yards. Jalen Milroe under 203.5 passing yards. Blake Corum, over 79.5 rushing yards. Quinshon Judkins, over 108.5 rushing yards. Anaya Smith, 41.5 receiving yards. Mario Williams, over 47.5 receiving yards. And Jade McGowan, over 51.5 receiving yards. Guys, that being said, let's jump into a quick break. On the other side, before we chat with Jake Crain, I want to give you guys some updates, some things happening right now with tsus.store. Really exciting news for those who love the brand, the business, the merchandise, and everything in between. All that and more on the other side. And Jake Crain as well, a packed segment upcoming. You're tuned in to The Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars. And there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also brought to you by our friends over at A1 Air Quality Consultants. Headaches, coughing, running nose while in the office or just in your home, call A1 Air Quality Consultants to have your air checked today. From Columbia to Asheville, Anderson to Charlotte, they are your breath of fresh air for all of your air quality needs. Be sure to give them a call or shoot them a text today at 864-619-2092. That's 864-619-2092. You can also contact them via email at a1airqualityconsultants@gmail.com. Be sure to check them out. We thank A1 Air Quality Consultants for their love and support of the Spurs Up Show, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya.
That's your Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Friday, September the 8th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in on this game day eve. Gamecocks and Furman doing battle tomorrow night at Williams-Brice Stadium, a 7:30 kickoff and a full day of college football. Looking forward to catching all of that with you all. Be sure, by the way, we'll be watching college football in the Big Cock Club Discord. Join today, patreon.com/Big Cock Club, or click the link in our social media handles. You'll find the Big Cock Club link there as well. Looking forward to hanging out, watching ball, conversating, chatting. We always have a really good time in the Discord. You can ask anybody who's in there. It is always a lot of fun. Again, guys, like I mentioned, we do have Jake Crain upcoming at 1:15. But in the meantime, and I was going to save this for later in the show, but I figured why not? We've got some extra time, right about 10, 12 minutes, something like that. And I sort of teased this on yesterday's show, and I'm not sure I was really expecting things to transpire the way they did just 24 hours later, but here we are. I have always prided myself and taken great pride in, I should say, from the very jump of providing the best possible customer experience and the greatest amount of value possible to our end consumer, whether that be the podcast, the live show, social media, the merchandise, events, and beyond. Everything we do, everything that has that TSUS logo on it, everything that has my name on it, I take great pride in it. And I'm also someone that I'm able to recognize whenever we make a change, we make an adjustment. Guys, you have seen this firsthand, by the way. If you've been following long enough, you've seen this with content. I am not someone that tries to plug a square peg in a round hole, if you will. I'm not someone that's going to try to force the issue. I believe in failing fast. I believe that is one of the great qualities of great entrepreneurs, is that they try things, they taste things, they do different things, and the market will tell you everything you need to know. You don't have to force the issue. The market will speak. The market will give you the feedback that you seek. And all you can do is not overreact, is not act in haste, but not act in sloth either. One of my favorite quotes, I forget exactly who said it, but make mistakes of ambition, not mistakes of sloth, right? Like, if you're going to mess up going full speed, don't mess up going half speed. Either way, the store experience over the last couple of months, and we had a massively successful year in 2022 and coming into 2023. The goal, the expectation, were not only are we going to do that, but go even above and beyond what we did last year. And so again, I tried something different when it comes to vendors, when it comes to our online store, when it came to our product selection, when it came to our fulfillment. And while there were a lot of pros, custom packaging, sticker included in every purchase, a thank you card in every purchase, custom tags inside the shirt, outside the shirt, whatever it might be. While there were some pros, the cons far outweighed them. And I know many of you have dealt with issues from t-shirt quality, delays in shipment, getting the wrong products. When getting the products, those products not living up to the standard and the expectation of what you're flat out used to with TSUS merch. And I've always believed in being transparent with our audience. That's how I've built this business, and that's how I'll continue to operate, because it's you all, the end consumer, who we are loyal to. At the end of the day, if the customer experience, if it's not where it needs to be, TSUS fails. So, with that being said, we started this back in June, and I take full responsibility and accountability because things have not lived up to the standard that I have set for myself, for this business, and the way that we operate. With that being said, though, I'm very happy to announce that we have gone back to our old fulfillment system, to our old vendor, and our old website. If you go to tsus.store right now and or thespursupshow.com, it is going to take you to the TSUS store that you all know and love and recognize. Things like your traditional Comfort Colors t-shirts are back. Our wide array of collections of, catalog of merchandise is back. The t-shirt you see me wearing right now, the Welcome Home collection, is back. Richardson 112 hats are back. Youth sizes are back. Baby sizes are back. Women's apparel is back. And I'm so excited to provide and live up to the standard that we have set with you all, because we had fallen short of that over the last couple of months. And I really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, want to apologize. I am extremely sorry to any of those who have had difficulties with orders, who have gotten things that, hell, they didn't even order. Things they've received that has fallen short of expectation. And so I'd like to also go on record and say, anyone, if you've had any issue whatsoever with our merchandise over the last couple of months, reach out to me directly, thespursupshow@gmail.com. You can shoot us a DM. You can text the text line, 843-790-3377, whatever you want to do, and I will make it right personally. Whether that's a refund, whether that's getting you the merchandise you actually ordered, we will make it right. Again, and I'm not speaking poorly on the vendor I was working with, because this isn't necessarily anyone's fault, but for what's best for us and our business and the standard that I hold myself to, the store to, everything that we do to, this is a change that had to be made immediately. Not another day could pass with us continuing to operate how we were doing. So, some of you may not even notice. Some of you may think, Chris, what are you talking about? The merchandise has been fine. But there were far too many hiccups, far too many headaches, and it got to a point, guys, being completely transparent with you, it got to a point where I was embarrassed to promote the online store because of the product that we were pushing out. And when it gets to that point, it's time for change. So if you go to tsus.store right now, you go to thespursupshow.com, you're going to see the old store. The old, the new, however you want to phrase it. But the old store is back. Our wide array of collections are back. No longer is it just the quote-unquote top sellers, and, we can't get Richardson 112 hats, and we're having delays on this, delays on that, fulfillment issues, mess-ups, errors. And I'm not telling you it's going to be perfect every single step of the way, but going back to our old vendor, it's going to be far less frequent. I can assure you of that. So, again, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, I am extremely sorry to anyone who dealt with any issues, headaches, what have you. I know there's some of you that placed orders that you're still waiting on from our previous vendor. And those should be getting taken care of. And in the instance that they don't, please reach out to me directly. I'll probably be reaching out to some of you directly and go ahead and getting ahead of this and taking care of this. It's a learning experience for us. It's a learning experience. And I think, our intentions were good. Our intentions were solid, improving the customer experience and enhancing the entire fulfillment process and what have you. But what I came to realize, guys, that inside labels and outside tags and stickers and cards and custom packaging, they don't mean shit if you're not actually delivering the product that you promise your audience you're going to provide. And I can assure you that will never happen again. So go check us out, tsus.store, thespursupshow.com. We will also get back to a point very soon. I've already hit up my old guy that fulfilled my towels. We're going to get back to a point where, hey, as long as you place your order by like a Tuesday, I can assure you get your merchandise. I promise you our merchandise is going to live back up to the standard it once was. It's going to get out in a timely manner. And we will not fall short ever again of your expectations of us. Because without the end consumer, without fans of this show, without people who show love and support for us, we are nothing. And so that is why I could not wait another second. That being said, though, tsus.store, thespursupshow.com. Check it out, guys. I think many of you will be very, very happy to see that the store, the merchandise, the fulfillment, everything is back to how you know it. And guys, you know what? If anybody's upset and you want a sticker, damn it, hit me up and I will send you a sticker. I will send you one for free. I'm about to get 1,000 emails for stickers, I bet. Either way, though, I'll take care of it. That's all I'm saying. We will take care of it because the end consumer, our customer, those who have been with us from the jump, and those new folks who come on and support and show love, those are the people that matter. So we're going to make this thing right. tsus.store, thespursupshow.com. Y'all go check us out. And again, if you had any issues with anything, I don't care what it is, delays, something was printed wrong, something messes up the quality, I don't care what it is, hit me up. We'll replace it. We'll get it right. That being said, guys, let's get back to talking football. I needed to get that out there, though. Again, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. The merchandise and, moving that forward and making that adjustment, making that change. And, guys, we're so early on in the season. Hey, I made the joke during the simulation series, with all due respect, it takes Shane Beamer 11 games to change his offensive coordinator. 10 games to change his offensive coordinator. For me, it don't take me 10 games. It don't take me 10 weeks. It takes me 1. So, anyways, was that a low blow? Was that a low shot? Either way, somebody who knows something about low blows and taking shots at people. No, I'm kidding. Our good friend Jake Crain of Crain and Company, he joined the show. Jake, my friend, it's great to see you. What a week one it was, and I feel like I should start. I'm here to deliver you your roses, my friend, because you tried to tell us all off season. We knew line of scrimmage was shoddy, but my goodness, man. My goodness. I mean, you called it. It was the one thing that killed South Carolina's chances in that ball game. And sure enough, I was thinking about you on Saturday night, my friend. What's going on? Appreciate you. Great to see you.
Hey, first off, I want a sticker. Second off, love that you're thinking about me. And third off, look, it brings me no personal joy coming on here being like, hey, maybe I'm not a douchebag for saying what I said. Like, maybe I'm not the worst person in the world. Maybe I just call it like I see it. Like, I mean, I'm not here to take a victory lap, but I mean, I wasn't just making it up. Like, I wasn't like, God, man, how can I just piss off every South Carolina fan in the history of the world? No, and look, it's a long year. Here's the problem, though. You look at LSU and what happened against Florida State. I think LSU has the personnel up front to be able to fix it. I think the ceiling is there to be able to fix it. I think it's a mindset thing more than anything with them. With South Carolina, I don't know how you make those guys, after what I saw, not only in pass protection, but in the run game, I don't know how you make those guys better. Like, you have two options to me. One, and I know Shane's going to do whatever he can. I think he was right to come out and defend his guys. That's what you do. But one, you leave that same group in there. You try and Geppetto your way through it, or you let young guys play to get experience. It's going to be tough that you're going to take your lumps, or you let the young guys get experience and try and get them ready for next year. So there's not really a good answer, and it's not like South Carolina's schedule is, walking through the tulips or on that hill with the girl from The Sound of Music. So I don't want to come over here and be like, hey, told you guys, ha ha ha. I love South Carolina. I have a ton of respect for South Carolina. I have a ton of respect for Shane Beamer. I want South Carolina to do good, but it's also not my job to tell you what you want to hear. It's my job to tell you what I really think is going to happen. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But when I look at that personnel and then losing Nichols, it is what it is. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie. And I thought South Carolina was going to struggle up front. And you still had a chance. I thought Spencer played about as well as he could possibly play. To be honest with you, there's been a lot of situations these last couple weeks, including week 0, where teams didn't have a great offensive line and the quarterbacks played better than I thought they were going to play. Graham Mertz is one of them too, to be honest with you. But Spencer, the question, like I said, when I came on here all offseason, the question to me is not if Spencer Rattler's going to play good. I knew Spencer was going to be fine. It's can they protect him and can they run the ball? Because this is not baseball. This is not golf. This is not basketball. One guy can't go out there and play really good while everybody else plays bad and it work out. That's just not how it works.
And I think, Jake, one of the most concerning things to me, I mean, like you mentioned, I don't really know that. I mean, you play Furman tomorrow night. We'll get there in a second. But how much better can that group really be just 7 days later? I mean, I don't think they're going to give up 9 sacks again. But here's what's concerning, Jake, because this season was never about beating Furman. It's about doing well in SEC play. One of the reasons I picked South Carolina to beat UNC, and I had egg on my face Monday, was that I didn't think North Carolina had the bodies to expose South Carolina. Like when you look at what they did last year, and I know they revamped their defense and they brought some guys in, and it looks like their D-line is going to be much better this year. At least Gamecock fans are hoping. But, like, dude, it's going to get a lot tougher. And, I mean, on the other side, man, I have real concerns about the defensive front. 0 sacks, 1 tackle for loss. Drake May was playing 7-on-7. And that UNCO line, Jake, they weren't good last year. They could not protect him. I can only count like 2 or 3 times where Drake May, I think, threw, like off his back foot or did not throw with his feet set. Meanwhile, like you mentioned, Spencer Rattler's on the run all night long. So it does not mean South Carolina, we've seen them overcome. We've seen them overachieve. We saw it last year. Like, line of scrimmage was a problem then. But you are asking so much of Shane Beamer and company to hit 7 or 8 wins, God forbid. Like, it's just such a roll of the dice of, like, what's going to show up in the line of scrimmage. Yeah. And most of the time, it's going to be a massive deficiency and cost you.
Yeah, well, like right now, this is the fun of getting into the season. I can't tell you right now if North Carolina's really that good on defense. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, I really don't, because when I go back and watch, it's one thing to miss assignments, to just not block the right guy. It's another thing to just get your ass beat up front, like scientifically. And that's what happened to me. Now, look, North Carolina, Gene Chizik is a hell of a guy. I don't care what anybody says. When it comes to being a coordinator, Gene Chizik knows what he's doing. It's not like he doesn't know what good defenses look like, how to prepare defenses. But I don't think North Carolina is going to be a top 4 defense that South Carolina faces this year. I don't think they are. Now, I think there's some things. I think there's more hope for South Carolina on the defensive side, even though losing the linebacker's tough. You've got some guys around there that can play. But the thing is, we really don't know in that schedule. And me and you talked about it, and I thought you hit it right on the head. I mean, you look at South Carolina's schedule. Furman I think South Carolina wins, but that's not going to be a walk in the park. Jacksonville State, have you seen them with Rich Rod, as goofy as he is? Clemson, I don't know. Hell, between those 3, who really knows after what I saw with Clemson in the red zone, just absolutely not understanding when you have 0 coverage and they're bringing more than you can block. But when you're looking at the games to try and get to that 6-win mark, and I went back and looked at my prediction, I mean, it looks like 5-7. Like it really does look like it. But, this is a different team, different circumstance. I didn't think South Carolina had a chance to beat Tennessee and Clemson last year. And we saw football's a fickle mistress, right? I just don't know how you put that. It's hard to put talent into somebody. I don't know another way to put it, right? So when I look at South Carolina's offensive line, I don't see it, man. I don't see it.
And I feel the same way, Jake. I mean, I don't know how those. I mean, they can't be any worse. But when that's your only argument of why a group will improve, that's not a great basis to operate off of. You
No.
mentioned Spencer Rattler. Listen, I thought he was brilliant for everything that he had to work with. Xavier Legette's emergence as a big
NFL
time
player.
big time
NFL player.
playmaker. That was one of the bright spots. I mean, your thoughts, if you want to, continue to expand on the Rattler thing, because I mean, if they can give him any semblance of time, we didn't really see a lot of Trey Knox and Joshua Simon. Granted, when you're running for your life, we cannot really evaluate the OC, the playmakers, all that much, right? But there are some dudes on the offensive side, if they get in situations where the O-line can just be even average. I think Spencer Rattler, and I know UNC's defense, not great last year, but I just thought, Jake, that was a good sign that maybe he took some positive steps forward in the offseason. And, if he has another good game tomorrow, you get an SEC play. And, I mean, you're not going to have really a shot against Georgia, but you start playing Mississippi State, Tennessee. Like, having a confident Spencer Rattler, it's a good place to start going into conference play.
Yeah, and look, as valuable as having time to throw, giving him a semblance of a run game will also protect him in itself. If I'm South Carolina, here's what I do. Spencer's fine. The only thing I'm worried about is, that you get hit that much, you're running around that much. Mentally, what does that do to you over time, right? Because Spencer's going to play in the NFL. He's going to make a lot of money, I think, playing in the NFL. He's that type of player. But if I'm South Carolina, I take a page out of what Sean Lewis and Colorado's doing offensively. All right, Sean Lewis, the head coach at Kent State, got hired to be the offensive coordinator at Colorado for Prime. It's from the Art Briles School. You have to adjust to your personnel. And Shane and them are smart enough to know that. If I'm South Carolina, here is one way to try and help fix it. One thing that Colorado did really well, and one of the smartest things they did, is they know their offensive line is deficient. They're deficient on the offensive line and the defensive line. They got rid of the ball so early, they almost substituted the quick passing game, slants, hitches, bubble screens, nows, things like that, for the run game. And that does two things. One, it gives you a chance to get in 2nd and 6. You can't sit here and operate in 2nd and 10 and 2nd and 12 and 2nd and 9, and then you get in 3rd and 9 and then 3rd and 8 and 3rd and long. That's just that you don't have enough good plays in the bank to be able to survive that way. So, first thing it does, it gets you in 2nd and 6. Second thing it does, it demoralizes the pass rush. TCU got to the point, but right before halftime and beginning of the third quarter, where Colorado was getting the ball so quick, they just started rushing 3. They said, you know what? We're not going to get there, so we're just going to rush 3 and drop 8. And that's when Shedeur Sanders averaged over 4 seconds to be able to sit back in the pocket. And if you think Shedur's going to tear people up with 4 seconds in the pocket, Spencer, they'll have to call John Walsh in here to do a show on what's happening in defenses if Spencer Rattler gets 4 seconds. So there's ways to kind of cover it up a little bit. That would be the first thing that I would do. And the best part about that, Chris? Your running back is a converted wide receiver. Like, this isn't some sort of let's motion out. Let's get an empty, right? Let's get an empty. Let's get exotic with the formations. Trey Knox, you can flex him out. He's a hell of a player. You can operate with him, running the number 3 there on the 3-man side with the 2-man side the other side. You have to find a way to supplement yourself to get you in 2nd and 6, and lining up and running inside zone and outside zone and power and counter with this group is just not going to do it. You have to be able, and I see Matt, like, strength and conditioning. Go look at South Carolina's got some cats that look good. It's not strength and conditioning. You went and got a bunch of, for lack of a better term, average ass players from the portal on the offensive line. That's the problem. I mean, if you're looking at Legette, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, man, the strength and conditioning. Go look at some of these guys walking around in South Carolina. It's not what they're eating. It's not what they're lifting. It's what they were born with. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe you're born with it. No, you were born like this, dog. That's the problem.
And, Jake, you hit the nail on the head, and I think that's the thing that Gamecock Nation did not want to hear over the course of the offseason. It's something that, I mean, Jake, I said that South Carolina, I just hinted at, I think the Gamecocks were a loser in the portal cycle this year. You would have thought I said that Shane Beamer should be fired. You know what I mean? Like, people didn't want to hear that, but it's just true, man. I don't know how you can look at it any differently. So that leads me to the Furman game, though. You're mentioning how South Carolina, and this is Dowell Loggins. I mean, welcome to the SEC, buddy. This is your biggest challenge yet, right? Scheming around that offensive line. South Carolina, they can't beat Furman by enough necessarily to erase what happened in week one and really make anybody feel better, especially with Georgia looming. And, I think Gamecock fans have grown a little bit exhausted because they feel like we're quote unquote gassing up Furman all week. But this is a top 10 FCS team. This is a team that last year, Jake, they outgained Clemson. Granted, they lost by 23. Clemson pulled away late, but Furman will not come into South Carolina intimidated. If the Gamecocks screw around, you could look up in the third quarter and this be a one-score game. But what can South Carolina, in your mind, like what can they achieve out of a ball game like this, taking on an FCS opponent? What are some of those things? The quote-unquote get-right game. Like what does that mean to you, and what can South Carolina get out of this?
Well, look, when I was at South Alabama, we lost to Southern Utah first week of the year. Mm-hmm. And that's a game that we should not have lost. We were the better team. We were playing at home. We didn't play well. And the next week, we played Bobby Petrino in Western Kentucky at home, which was a big game for us. And we beat them, right? And that was a game that we weren't the better team and we won. It's tough because as players, if you beat Furman by 40, you're still, it makes you feel a little bit better. The highlight film's better for the next week, but it's almost impossible to be like, all right, man, we're back on track because we beat the hell out of Furman. And then if it's close, and like you said, if you mess around, you go in there and, let's just get through it so we can get to the next big game. That's how you mess around and get beat. David Cohn, who's quarterback at Michigan, when they lost to App State, he'll tell you the same thing. He's like, that's exactly how we approached it, and that's why we got beat. But, as far as fundamentally, it's a week where if you want to try some things, you can try some things. But as far as feeling better, you're not going to feel better until you have a chance to play somebody that when you beat, you feel good about it, that you shouldn't just line up and beat. One of the best examples, LSU plays Grambling this week. They'll beat them by 80, but nobody's going to feel any better. Texas Tech lost to Wyoming on the road. Guess who they get this weekend? Oregon at home. So when you beat Oregon, you feel better again. Hey, guess what, guys? It was us. It just was our fault. We didn't play good. We just need to play good now. So there's not a lot of great warm and fuzzies that can be taken from this game, but you can get back to the fundamentals. You can try some things. Mike Leach said something great one time. He's like, maybe we should start by rolling some people. Maybe we can start by cutting some people. But then again, I know, Chris, they're going in there watching that film, and they've been at practice. It's not like Shane and them didn't know they weren't good up front. They weren't sitting around there just playing a game of let's lie to each other to make each other feel better and go out here and just hold hands and be friends against North Carolina and hope it works out. No, they knew this. This is no surprise. So, at the end of the day, there's not much externally that can make you feel better, but there's some things you can do fundamentally to be able to try and get to the point where you get some confidence back in the guys. Let some guys get in that end zone, right? Let some guys maybe put somebody on their ass every now and then. Get some big hits on the defense. But until you play somebody that we know, that the coaches know, and that the players know are worth their salt, you're not going to feel better about it.
Jake, as you mentioned, it was a rough weekend for the SEC against the ACC. LSU fell to Florida State, and I more so walked away from it. I don't know that my feelings are all that much different on LSU, Jake, but Florida State, I was kind of on the fence of like, are they for real? Are they not? That team is going to be in the playoff, barring some major collapse. Like, they are loaded across the board. What were your takeaways from that game? Thoughts on FSU, thoughts on LSU walking away, thoughts on both of those teams walking away from that game?
Yeah, well, Florida State, they've got everything, and it's still early. They could have played their best game of the year in year one. I've seen that happen before, but I look, it starts and ends up front. Like what I come out here and say, offensive line, they're moving people. Defensive line, that front seven, I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, you got some cats running around there that, I don't know where they find these guys, but it's scary. We talk about aliens and disclosure. Well, just watch the second half of that game against LSU, and that's all the disclosure you need. They'll be making documentaries about that for years. But I think Keon Coleman being added across from Johnny Wilson has made them so deadly with Jordan Travis's ability to not just run, right? It's not just, there's Jordan Travis taking off. He was running around, extending the play, keeping his eyes down the field, and letting guys like Jaheim Bell, who didn't have his best game, but made a couple plays, had a couple big drops, and Keon and Johnny Wilson and the rest of the skill position guys over there, the Benson kid at running back, who I like a lot, keeping his eyes downfield and was able to throw the ball and hurt LSU. So full credit to Florida State. They went into halftime and made the conscious decision that, hey, we think we can bully these guys. They came out of halftime with the ball going under center in single back, running inside zone and power and counter. That tells you something, where the players went to the coaches and they were like, listen, we think we can bully these children. And the coaches were like, all right, we'll let you do it. Now, when it comes down to LSU, I'm not hitting the panic button on LSU, because I think they have good enough personnel to be able to fix it. And we saw them lose last year, and though they lost in a totally different way, and they were able to turn it around and win the West. But what I don't understand is how you revert back to LSU 2022 at the beginning of the season. No downfield passing game. Last year, when about halfway through the year, when Jayden Daniels started throwing the ball deep, even when he wasn't hitting, it changed them offensively. It opened up the run. It opened up the intermediate and the quick passing game. And all they did against Florida State was run crossers and comebacks. Couldn't run the ball, and they never threatened. The one time you ran a double move the last drive of the game and you scored from 70 out because you were running comebacks the whole time. You were setting them up. Malik Neighbors was running comebacks the whole year, and they were still hitting them. And they never ran any double moves. You never threw any posts. The one wheel route you threw on the first play of the game, you almost scored. And then everything was just crossers and Jayden Daniels running around. That was their whole offense. I don't understand how at halftime Brian Kelly doesn't go in there and say, guys, why are we not throwing the ball deep? At least just to back those safeties up, to let them know in the secondary, hey, you can't keep creeping down and playing the run, or creeping down and doubling up crossers, or creeping down and robbing the seam, because we're going to hurt you over the top. Defensively, same thing. No adjustments. Harold Perkins, a great spy. Jordan Travis didn't really kill him scrambling around and running. Where he killed him was he would scramble around and then find Johnny Wilson or Keon Coleman and these guys underneath. Why were they so open, you ask? Well, you don't have to be, Newt Rockney to realize that if you're going to play umbrella coverage and run cover 3 and play everybody back, and then you're going to spy one of your linebackers on Jordan Travis, you're taking somebody out of coverage underneath. You don't have enough players unless you're going to drop 8, and you are rushing 4. So when you have a guy that's spying the quarterback that's taken out of coverage, and you have 3 guys that are back, it creates a huge void. And everybody's like, Johnny Wilson's wide open. Johnny Wilson's wide open underneath. How's he wide open? Well, nobody's there. You can only play with 11. And unless you never adjusted it. At some point, when you realize that Jordan Travis can beat you with his arm running around and throwing, and you need to just start sending Harold Perkins. Just shoot your bullet. Just send him. Because at least if he misses, Jordan Travis will take off and run. But what he won't do is find Johnny Wilson 8 yards down the field with 10 yards of cushion and just make easy throws. Oh, here, let me just throw the fastball right down the middle, right down the middle, right down the middle. So they never adjusted. I thought it was an awful performance after halftime. Because, again, LSU's up, right? You move it down inside the 10-yard line twice, and you can't score, which is on y'all, which is on you. That's what you get paid to do as an OC, is score touchdowns in the red zone, not kick field goals. Then you don't adjust on offense or defense. So bad performance by the coaches, bad performance by the players. I think it's going to be LSU's worst performance all season. I think they're going to learn from it. And if you're going to lose, there's a reason I called that game the biggest insurance game of 2023, because you can lose it and it still doesn't kill you. And if LSU is able to thread the needle the rest of the way, and with what Florida State's probably about to do, that's going to look like a great loss on a neutral site in week 1, so you still have a chance.
Jake, it was a successful debut for Hugh Freeze on the Plains. What'd you take away from Auburn's blowout win over UMass, and what encouraging signs you can now take into their week 2 game against Cal, going out to the West Coast as 6.5-point favorites?
Well, as much as you can take with the win over UMass, who, did beat New Mexico State on the road. New Mexico State turned it over 3 times. The offensive line at Auburn just looks more together than they have been. Now I got to see them against guys that are going to push them. We'll see that a little bit with Cal. I'm not as high on Cal as everybody else is. North Texas, I mean, they haven't been able to stop a nosebleed in the nurse's office for the past 4 years. So I don't know why people are unbelievably shocked that Cal scored points. Defensively, I mean, Auburn lined up wrong 15 times in the front seven. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I mean, I could tell just watching it. They were a gap short a lot of times. They were just able to out-athlete UMass. Now, you simplify things, you can fix the alignment. I wasn't too thrilled with the way Auburn got off blocks. The secondary is really good. They've got 2 or 3 NFL players in the secondary. I think the linebackers are going to be fine. But I really think this Hugh Freeze offense, and something we talked about on here, when Peyton Thorne won the job, my two biggest questions was, one, if you're gonna win the job in an RPO offense, do you run well enough to keep the defense honest? And then two, you haven't been here that long. Have you been able to develop that chemistry with the wide receivers? Well, he answered both of those in the positive in game one. He runs better than I thought. He moves around better than I thought. I didn't see it a lot at Michigan State because they didn't ask him to do it. And then second off, I thought the chemistry was pretty good. He made a couple wrong reads on the RPO, but as far as back shoulders, being on time across the middle, being on time over the shoulder to the backside, he was pretty good. And then Robbie Ashford having that package that I talked about, don't be shocked. Every time Auburn gets in 3rd and short or 4th and short, or they're in the red zone, if they send Robbie in there to throw a Dr. Seuss book at him, and that's what we saw. So they passed the test week 1. Defensively, I don't think Auburn has a chance to be elite. They just have to be good enough. And with Cal, I think Auburn's going to go out there and win. I love the over in this game. But Hugh Freeze, it was successful. It's just nice to see Auburn not be terrible on offense and just look like they have no idea what's going on. And I do want to say this, Chris. So this past weekend, watch Robbie Ashford do pretty good for Auburn. We know what he is. I watched TJ Finley rip Baylor apart at Texas State. I watched Zach Calzada have a good game at Incarnate Word, and Bo Nix is in the Heisman race. Brian Harsin, the survey says, you were the problem. You were the problem. So it's a very interesting weekend to kind of keep track of that.
We move to, Jake, some folks, whether it be in my mentions, DMs, or our Discord, some folks are saying that you have been deleting tweets about Cade Klubnik from the summer after Clemson's upset loss to Duke, in which he was seeing ghosts. I'll let you address that, and also Clemson falling to the Duke Blue Devils. Is the dynasty dead? Is Dabo, are his days numbered in the upstate? What are your thoughts? I got folks sending me screenshots, by the way, of Jake Crain was deleting tweets about Cade Klubnik getting positive intel. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just coming to you with this information. So,
I don't think I've deleted a tweet. Now, I'm not the only one that's on my account. So with my job, so there's
spoiler, Jake. I don't care if you deleted a tweet or not.
Yeah, no, I'll be the first to tell you. I went on a Clemson show yesterday and told them that I still believe in Cade Klubnik. You can see what I was saying during the offseason. So, no, but again, I'm not the only one that's on my account. Sometimes too, I think I did a whole monologue on Cade Klubnik that should still be on Twitter. But no, look, I mean, I'll be the first to sit here and say, did Cade have the best game in the world? No, but I still believe Cade Klubnik's going to be fine, over time. I mean, I still believe in Cade Klubnik as a quarterback. The same way I'm not sitting here saying, oh, DJU is this amazing quarterback. It was Clemson's fault when Oregon State was destroying San Jose State up front. I mean, TJU was throwing to guys that were wide open. Me and you could have made that throw. I think the jury's still out on him too. But no, I mean, I went on a Clemson show, CU Sports Media, and talked about, how I was hyping him up during the summer. But if you watch that game and you understand anything about football, then you realize that when Clemson was getting down to the goal line, Duke was running zero coverage, and Clemson was sitting in 11 personnel in wide formations, and Duke was bringing more than they could block. So, like, when Phil Maffa is getting hit right when he's handed the ball, that's not on the offensive line. They can't block 2 people a person. That's on Garrett Riley. Now, Cade had a couple throws early, too. I think he took too many chances. But I think Mike Elko, and if you've kept up with Mike Elko defensively at A&M and who he is, I thought his plan was really good. But what I don't understand about Clemson is why you go up-tempo all the way down the field and it's working, and then you stop when you get to the goal line. I don't understand that. And the one time they actually threw it against zero coverage to Will Shipley, the one time he touched the ball, I believe, in the red zone, they scored a touchdown. But Cade, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Cade's going to be fine. It's a new offense and a new OC. What I, again, will continue to say is that I don't think Clemson has the skill guys like they used to. I mean, where's Nuke Hopkins? Where's Sammy Watkins? Where's Justin Ross? Where's T. Higgins? Where's Mike Williams? Where's Travis Etienne? Where are these guys? I mean, Bo Collins couldn't get separation. Antonio Williams couldn't get separation. So I think Clemson's got multiple problems. The defense, Barrett Carter missed that tackle. Riley Leonard's a heck of a player. But no, I still believe in Cade Klubnik. I mean, there's stuff that I've said all over the internet that's still there. I mean, we do a live show that gets recorded every day. It's not like you can just go in there and delete the database. Like Brian, what do you mean busted, dog? I mean, I'll tell you, if I did it, I would tell you. I'm not the only one that runs my account. Look, I'm sorry South Carolina's not very good, Brian. I'm sorry. I know you were waiting all year probably just to tell me to just eat it, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. Like, well, I'm really not sorry, to be honest with you. But no, look, I'll be the first one to go on, and just like I picked Texas to beat Bama, if they don't, then I'll be the first one to admit I'm wrong. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Clemson's going to be fine down the road. It's just, what a wonky game. What just a crazy ass game that was. And I do think Dabo was right. I mean, I haven't seen somebody like that happen in the red zone that many times in a long time. And look, I'm an Auburn fan. I've seen the Iron Bowl. So at the end of the day, it was just a wonky game.
Jake, it's crazy and it's bad for them when I'm low-key trolling, but also giving my thoughts about the game after. And I just said that, I think that Clemson's quote-unquote dynasty is over. It's Dabo's unwillingness to, embrace the new age of college football and the transfer portal. And you see our good friend Josh Pate echoing the same thing. And Clemson fans are on my timeline. They're like, I hate this guy, but he's right. What do you think about the Clemson folks like this? There's a vibe around Clemson that maybe Dabo within the next 2-3 years, he retires, he's done. We need to move on. We need a new age thinking coach. Like, do you think they're on the decline in the sense of his days are numbered up there?
Well, I think that there's two things going at each other right now. You have competitive Dabo that wants to win, right? That came out of nowhere, took Clemson, raised the standard, king of the castle. And then you have set in his ways Dabo, and I'm going to do it my way, and I don't want to admit I'm wrong Dabo. Like, which one of those wins? One of the things that I think Nick Saban, one of the best things about Nick Saban, one of the many things, is that he's even malleable when he gets to the top, right? You remember when he was complaining about hurry up, no huddle? Oh, I hate this. It's ruining the game, whatever. Well, they didn't change any rules. So what did he do? He goes out and hires the best hurry up, no huddle offensive coordinators that there is. So eventually you have to embrace it, man, right? You have to embrace it. The game changes. The game evolves. It just reminds me like my grandmother. God bless her heart. She's 85 years old. She's set in her ways. She has a toaster that works probably once every 3 to 4 times that you use it. And I've told her, I'm like, Grandma, it's 2023. Get a new toaster. I will buy you a new toaster. I will buy you the flying car of toasters, the Mercedes-Benz Tesla of toasters, but just buy a new toaster. And here's the thing, Chris, she won't buy a new toaster because that's the toaster she's used, and it's always worked in the past, and it's always made great food, but now it doesn't work. Sometimes you got to get a new toaster. Dabo, get a new toaster, dog. That's it.
Jake, as we look ahead to week 2, man, a packed slate of games, but let's get right to the headliner. Texas, Alabama. I'm going with the Longhorns. They were my offseason pick. I'm not backing off it now. I think Jalen Milroe, a very talented player. I'm not sold, though, that he's going to be some Heisman caliber candidate, whatever, just because he tossed a couple of touchdowns against Middle Tennessee State. Am I not giving enough credit to the performance, or how do you see this game shaking out? Do you think the Longhorns, is Texas finally back, and do they show that tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, look, I picked Texas to win this game during the offseason with the personnel they have. And you can find that on Twitter. Literally put out something today on it. And I'm gonna stay with what I said. I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna go with my instinct on it. I would rather be wrong going with my instinct than go against my instinct and be wrong. I'd be in shambles after that. But look, here's how I see it. Jalen Milroe did everything right pretty much against Middle Tennessee. He did everything they asked him to. He out-athleted everybody in the run. He threw to wide-open guys. He handled business, operated the offense. We know he's talented, right? We know he has ability. The question is, can you make those 5 to 7 throws during the game on 3rd and medium and 3rd and long to extend drives when the window's really tight. We hadn't seen that yet, right? You're not going to be able to get a bad snap, drop it, pick it up, dust it off, read half a Harry Potter book, and then go run for 60 yards because you're just out-athleting everybody on the defense. Not saying Jalen Milroe won't be the best athlete on the field. He's one of the best athletes, if not the best athlete on the field. But now you have guys chasing you that can catch you. Now you have guys that can make angles disappear, and now you're going to have to make those big boy throws. So that's something we don't know. That offensive line, right? We don't know yet. Yeah, they're huge. That's great. I've watched a bunch of huge offensive lines not be very good. We know they have talent, right? But we just don't know. There's so many unknowns with Alabama. And I think we know a lot about Texas. Did they look great against Rice? No, but if you watch that game and you understand anything about football schematically, they were so peanut butter and jelly. They were so peanut butter and jelly. You got Quinn Ewers, who you know can play. Wide receiver group returns 5 of 6 top pass catchers, a really good tight end, return an offensive line that could be top 5 in the country. But the difference is, I think the front 7 on Texas's defense is physical enough and nasty enough to be able to rotate out with Bama for a while and keep them in the game. So I'm going to go with Texas. I picked them 30-27. We'll see. Brian, I'm just messing with you, dog. But no, seriously. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a great game, man. I think you're going to see some big plays. Who's going to make the most mistakes? Because as I always say, most teams don't win games. They lose them. And who's going to make the mistake that costs the team the game? Is it going to come on special teams, offense, defense? We'll see.
Jake, the rest of the slate, 2 games really stand out. We already touched on Auburn, Cal, but Texas A&M and Miami. I love Aggies -4 and Ole Miss Tulane. I love the over in that ball game. Your thoughts on those picks and what you're expecting, because the 3:30 slot this weekend is fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah, this A&M Miami game, we led the show with it on Thursday. I think it has a chance to be a program-changing win for either one of these teams, and I typically don't say that this early in the season. But if you look at the trajectory of both these teams with the Bobby Petrino, Jimbo Fisher experiment, that this is the first big game together, this could get them a lot of momentum. And look, Texas A&M has talent. You know, we talked about Connor Wegman all offseason too. I mean, I think this kid has a chance to be special. You know, Texas A&M's offense, it looked like they didn't have to force it. Now, I know they're playing New Mexico, and the only aliens they have are at Area 51 out there at Dulce. But when you look at A&M up front, I think they're talented too, but their offense was top 25 in the country after week 1 in pace. So you got a little bit, you know, they put a little spice on the chicken, right? They didn't just serve out some dried, you know, white bread chicken. Hey, here you go. Everybody enjoy it. No, put a little sauce on there, you know, maybe dribble a little honey, get weird. Bobby Petrino's bag is super deep. It's deeper than Santa Claus's bag. And he's not afraid to go in there, whether it's Q run, whether it's getting in empty, whether it's getting in 12 personnel, running power, running counter, things like that. His bag is super duper deep. And then defensively, I mean, the DeBerry kid who transferred over from Boston College looks good in the secondary. But Miami looked better too. Tyler Van Dyke looked healthy. They played Miami, Ohio in the Confusion Bowl, who I know is not exactly the steel curtain on defense, but Mario Cristobal is a conservative, I want to run to pass coach. This isn't throw it around, let's be super sexy, let's be super flashy on offense. They want to run it, play action, take your shots, quick game from under center, get in a little bit of 10 personnel and work from there. It's built more in Mario Cristobal's image. I think their O-line is good, but they're young. I like A&M in this game. It's kind of a weird game to bet. The biggest thing for A&M is if they do get punched in the face early, you can't panic. That's the biggest thing. A&M has a bad habit of panicking early when it's not going good. So if they go down there and A&M plays well, Texas A&M will win.
And then Ole Miss Tulane, thoughts on that one? Are you expecting the offensive shootout? Or I thought Jackson Dart was fantastic in week 1, granted against Mercer, but still 11 for 11 for what, 237 and a quarter is those are for real.
Well, Mercer's got a pretty good ball club. I mean, there's, you know, every team's at that division or at that level's, you know, not the same. We tend to kind of paint every one of those with a broad brush. Same reason we're saying Furman. You know, watch out for these guys coming in here that they're not, this isn't Becky the Icebox and Little Giants rolling in here this week. So here's Jackson Dart looked to me. He looked a lot more crisp. Got to see it against guys that are faster, though. Is he going to keep throwing the ball to intermediate defenders, linebackers, nickels, slot corners, whatever you want to call them? That was his biggest problem. But here's Tulane's problem. I don't think they can stop the run. And there's a common misconception with guys like Lane Kiffin and Josh Heupel and Lincoln Riley that, oh, they just want to throw the ball around. No, they don't. They want to run the ball. That's really who they are at the end of the day. Half of Lincoln Riley's offense is built off play action, off gap scheme runs out of heavy personnel. That's what he does. So Tulane can't stop the run. Lane's going to try and go down there and score 60, right? If you're willing to put 73 up on Mercer, you're willing to put 73 up on anybody. And I think Tulane's going to be able to score some. I think the secondary for Ole Miss is a little bit vulnerable, but I like Ole Miss to cover in this game. I think Ole Miss may go down there and walk them, Chris. Walk them all the way back to Oxford.
Jake Crain of Crain & Company. Jake, I appreciate you being gracious with your time. Could talk college football with you all day. One last thing, and I promise I'll get you out of here.
Oh, you're good.
I got to get your thoughts. You've been in the coaching profession. How does Deion Sanders' early success, only been one game, but he has shown you can flip a roster overnight and go out and take that roster and beat a team that was in the national championship prior. I'm not saying this means the Deion Sanders thing is going to be some massive success and they're going to be a 10-win team this year, but do you think this puts even more pressure on coaches to win and win immediately? Because, again, Deion just showed, and some people didn't like the style, thought it was cutthroat. He was telling kids on scholarship, hey, you're going to play football somewhere, but it ain't going to be here. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, Jake, it worked. What's your thoughts on the impact of that on the sport as a whole?
Well, it's like arguing the law, right? Is there precedent or not? Well, now there's precedent. Not only there, look at Texas State. Coach Kenny takes over, flips the whole roster over there, and goes and beats Baylor in the first week on the road, throws up a crooked number on them. So I think anytime you're able to accomplish something that's outside of the box, fans can now look and point at it and say, see, it does work. Maybe you should try this. So now that the precedent's been set, and we'll see how it goes. I actually like Nebraska this weekend, believe it or not, against Colorado. But now that precedent's been set, you can always point to and say, hey, you can win this case. Like this versus Sanders versus TCU, whatever. So now that precedent's been set, I think it's something some guys may embrace it more. But look, timing is everything in this deal, right? Everything in life is timing. There's a big difference. You remember when people actually recruited junior college, how they used to be like, well, if we can't get him here to go through spring, then we're not going to be able to take them. We don't want to take a May guy. We want to take a December guy. They're worth their weight in gold because they can go through spring. I think if you're going to have huge roster turnover, you need to get them in there to go through spring practice. And then you have a spring together, and then a summer together, and then a fall camp together. Because the hardest part is not going and acquiring talent. It's getting the talent to mesh together in time to be successful during the season. So Deion got a lot of those guys in there before spring, which was huge. You're there with the coaching staff. You learn the terminology. You understand what you're seeing. Second thing, I do think some head coaches are kind of like, damn, well, you've already seen a sped up process on how long is it going to take you to win. It used to be 3 years, but now it's 2 with the transfer portal. Well, if Deion does what Deion may do this year, it's about to be 1.5. And if you're a coach that's taking over another place, because what's going to happen? Like, well, I need at least a year with this roster to flip it. That AD is going to be like, but look look at Deion Sanders. Look at what they did out there. Look at Texas State. Look, it's something where now you have precedent. People are always going to be able to point to it. Bruin Nation, when Nebraska wins this game this weekend, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be hell. Don't think I forget. All right, you're not special. You're just next.
You can't blame Gamecock fans for pulling against Nebraska at every turn. I bet. With
Satterfield. I like to have a good time. I can't see the chat in my show. I can see it here, so I like to have a good time.
I took Minnesota -7 in week 1, Jake, just out of pure principle. Also, another game. I know you talk gambling every day. Another game I'm taking out of pure principle. Over 36.5 in Iowa State, just because I think if you bet the under in that game, you're a sicko. That's my pure principle. That
just reminds me of the Austin Powers thing when they're making fun of James Bond and he gets 6 in blackjack and he's like, I'll stay. I also like to live dangerously. Hey, I will say though, remember I came on here and told y'all to take that parlay. I told y'all to take it and it hit. I'm up like 850 right now. Like 18-11. I don't want to jinx myself. I'm knocking on some wood right here. I would say I came on here and said hammer, absolutely hammer Utah, right? -6.5, absolutely hammer it. And it worked out. So this week, a couple that I'm looking at. Can I give you a couple?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, please.
All right.
Please.
Locks. I was 2-0 in locks last week. Rutgers -9 against Temple. Don't think you'd be crazy to take the under at 44 either. Auburn Cal over 54.5. Absolutely smash it. Get one of those big hammers like the dude used to bust some watermelons and just smash it, smash it, smash it, smash it. Don't think you'd be crazy to do that. Also, don't think you'd be crazy to sprinkle some Texas Tech money line this weekend against Oregon. I would maybe even have a little parlay where you put, I don't know, Boise State and Texas Tech together. A little bit of dogs, maybe throw East Carolina in there, get a little dangerous, get a little weird. So look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a great time to get them early with this new clock rule, right? It's under season. It's the unders club. Come hang out.
Jake, don't you have like a 14-team parlay this weekend or something?
I got a 10-legger. I got a 10-legger.
My goodness.
Yeah, I call it the octopus.
I can't even imagine the payout on that. Jake, I promise, last thing. Our guy John Rice question today. Better odds South Carolina loses to Furman or beats Georgia?
Oh, you guys are sick. Loses to Furman.
I said the same thing, honestly.
I mean, yeah, it's losing to Furman for sure. I mean, Georgia, look, I mean, I know Georgia didn't exactly, look perfect, against UT Martin, but they're good. Brock Bowers good.
I love it. Jake Crain of Crain and Company. Jake, y'all keep up the great work, man. I appreciate you. It's always a pleasure to chat with you and looking forward to a great weekend of college football. And let's break the bookie this weekend, man.
Dude, let's do it. Let's just John Dillinger him, except not get like murdered at the end. It's like on Dumb and Dumber when he makes Seabass pay for it, and he's like, dude, where did you come up with that idea? He's like, I saw it in a movie. They're like, what happened? He's like, oh, they caught him like a mile down the road and slit their throats. But no, man, it's great. I love coming on here and talking with y'all. I hope South Carolina figures it out and turns it around. I would much rather be wrong and watch Shane and them have success than watch them struggle. Be patient, South Carolina fans. I know he's been there a couple of years. Give this man time. Once he gets that O-line developed, I'm just telling you, South Carolina is really in good hands, and he's a great person as well, even though, winning trumps everything. So I appreciate it as usual, guys. And I'm going to go talk good about Cade Klubnik now.
Always a pleasure, Jake. I appreciate you, man. We'll talk
See you,
soon.
buddy.
Great stuff from Jake Crain. You can love what he says, hate what he says, what has you. Jake always brings the heat. And with that being said, we're bringing the heat in the Q&A Power Hour. Guys, we're going to jump into a quick break on the other side. I want to hear from you, your questions, your comments, your calls, and more here on this Friday. You're tuned in to The Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also brought to you by our friends over at A1 Air Quality Consultants. Headaches, coughing, running nose, while in the office or just in your home, call A1 Air Quality Consultants to have your air checked today. From Columbia to Asheville, Anderson to Charlotte, they are your breath of fresh air for all of your air quality needs. Be sure to give them a call or shoot them a text today at 864-619-2092. That's 864-619-2092. You can also contact them via email at a1airqualityconsultants@gmail.com. Be sure to check them out. We thank A1 Air Quality Consultants for their love and support of the Spurs Up Show, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya.
Muscle Dougie Ho.
All right, guys, I'm back here on this Friday, September the 8th, 2023. Taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. You know what I just thought about? Like, it's crazy that it's already September of 2023. Like, does it not feel like 2022, we transitioned to 2023 like 5 minutes ago? I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. Anyways, either way, I want to hear from you. Taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. Really quickly, we had a text from yesterday that I wanted to get into. BDD, Dale texted in, said someone tagged my tweeter and said JEK, I think John Edward Kruger, a.k.a. Bowl Cut, said I suck. Tell him come to Shoney's, and I'll get him a booster seat and say it in my face. BDD out. I got another text here. I hope the offensive linemen have eaten their Wheaties this week, looking for a good positive jump from week 1 to week 2. And if not, Seabass is going to kick their ass to hell with Furman. Go Cox. Another text here. Hey, big dog, who do you think will win this week, and what is your score prediction? I think we have a good chance of winning big at home. I know I'm going to be there. I'm going to be eating a hot dog. I might be eating some pizza. Hell, I might even get crazy and dive into some Dippin' Dots if they're available. But most importantly, I'm going to be cheering on the Gamecocks beat the Stiff Knights. I've got 38-20. Gamecocks getting the dub. I do think it's going to be a bit of a struggle early, more than we'd like, but I think South Carolina will get the win. I think they will pull away in this one. Austin Gregory says, feel like we just fired Muschamp yesterday. What a time, indeed. M. Colt, what do y'all think about the weather forecast tomorrow? I just hope there won't be any lightning delays. I hope not either. John Rice says that Jake Crain is the best weekly guest, and Bruin Nation says Jake is the man. Brian Alexander, Jake's my favorite. guest speaker. I appreciate you guys, man. That's awesome. Yeah, Jake's an awesome dude. I appreciate that. Our friend Dalton has Nebraska winning. He says he's hammering the Huskers. Hammering the Huskers. Austin Gregory, the over-under on the phrase, we're going to jump to the phone line set at 8.5. I think under. We're not getting 8 calls in, man. Another text, just looking at my last text to you, was October the 26th. It said, if the Gamecocks win the next 4 games, Mizzou, Vandy, Florida, and Tennessee, would we have a top 10 matchup with Pavanovo? Who would have ever imagined how those 4 games would play out? Indeed. Guys, phone lines, I did just open them up. So they are officially open, 843-790-3377. We are now taking your calls, and I would love to hear from you. Again, a jam-packed weekend of college football. Of course, you got the Gamecocks, you've got Texas and Alabama, you've got Texas A&M Miami, you've got Ole Miss and Tulane, Vandy, Wake Forest, you've got Wisconsin and Washington State. So some really, really good ball games upcoming this weekend. Let's see. The information station says it's not Dowell's fault. It's the talent of the O-line. I just don't understand how we didn't get linemen from the portal that played at the Power 5 level. Just stupid. I feel the same way, man. I feel the same way. Garrett Goff said, I emailed yesterday and my beer ball shirt shipped immediately after. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, y'all hit me up, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Matt Garner, are you going to do hand logo T-shirts like this logo? Yes. Yes. There are some things to clean up on the new, old, whatever store. Products to add, all that good stuff. But now, guys, I actually have the capability, the creative control, and we can get those out in a timely manner. So I'm excited for that. Very, very excited for that. Let's see. Matt Garner placed an order during the show. I appreciate that, Matt. He says all companies are having logistics, personnel, supply issues. Glad you're monitoring and keeping it up to, keeping up to change. Indeed, man. Just holding up to the standard that I know that we have set forever and ever, and that's something that'll never change. Just giving you guys the absolute best. Let's see. Jacob E. says, didn't love the play all on the first series, but let's be honest, that was one of the worst performances I've ever seen by an offensive line. Might be the worst O-line performance in South Carolina history. I didn't love the trick play to open the game either. I really didn't. The information station says South Carolina 48-10. 48-10. Lynn Turner says year 3 is usually a tough year transitioning from old staff recruits to new staff recruits. I do hope the offensive line makes it to the stadium this week. The tough thing, Lynn, about that statement is that year 3, according to the numbers, is typically when coaches pop off. That's when they have their big season, their breakout season of we've arrived. And, so if South Carolina does not do that this year, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just, that's typically what the numbers say. So, let's see. Continuing through your questions. Travis says, why does it feel like we are battling injuries even before the season even starts? I know football deals with injuries, but I swear ours are always magnified. So sick of it. Is it the chicken curse, Travis? Heck, I don't know. Austin Miller, Richardson 112s are back. Yes, Richardson 112s are back. Indeed. Coach Ford, Loggins is responsible for the offense, recruiting, development scheme, altering schemes of talent. Parcells said he could. I've never heard somebody talk so much about Bill Parcells as our guy, Coach Ford, does. I don't know what it is. Brian Alexander, I know only what our team does matters, but I sure feel better that LSU, Florida, and Clemson share our misery. Brennan M. said, only 31 and a half hours until peak slap dickery unfolds. Can you imagine? Carolina goes 3 and out in the first drive, and Furman methodically drives down there and just takes the lead, man. Imagine that. Jeff Gullidge, over under number of callers call in to the call-in show talking if we blow out Furman, asking why we didn't play like that in week 1. I have 10. Yeah, Jeff, admittedly, I'm curious to see what the post-game call-in show will be like, just from the standpoint of, if South Carolina wins big, will there be as many people calling in as there were after a loss in week 1? Unfortunately, a lot of folks come out after losses. Not as many come out after wins, believe it or not. So I think either way, though, it'll be a massive success. Looking forward to it, guys. It'll be right after the game tomorrow night. We'll be right here taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well. Going to be a lot of fun. Also, this banner you see on the bottom here that's got our number, our store, we will have an updated banner that says call-in show instead of the Daily Crow. So you have all the information you need to call in and to chat with us. I know last week we didn't have that. I'll make sure we take care of that in this one. Ethan K. FCS defensive backs are sometimes diamonds in the rough, but there is no way we need to be getting Power 5 positions from the portal, especially line of scrimmage, Ethan. I think that's the big one that you just no. Todd Smith, Rattler has another strong game, 400 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, but it'll be uncomfortably close win. Gamecocks 28, Furman 21. Can you imagine? Oh, my. Todd Smith, thank you for the super chat, Todd. Thank you. Appreciate that. Can you imagine a 28-21 game? Brendan Hyder, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not reaching here, but the last time we lost to North Carolina, didn't we beat Georgia that year? Yes, 2019. Yes. I think banking on that to happen again is a fool's errand, in my opinion. So, Jeff Gullidge, they didn't figure it out in summer camp because they didn't get embarrassed. We had to play horribly and get embarrassed before we could learn how to play football. I mean, maybe you're onto something. Jack Crowley says in the text line, here to say I'm so pumped. The O-line is going to be way better this week. They are going to do their job. Give my boy Spencer plenty of time to do what he needs to do. I'm planning on holding my breath until my face turns garnet for the game. I hope I don't pass out, but if I do, I will try again. It will be a good time. Go Gamecocks. What a text. I would say don't hold your breath until it turns garnet. That's my only thing. So, USC edits. I'd say because now we have seen it on the field and directly know what we must do to be better and different. That's the hope I'm holding on to of why the offensive line, I'd assume, will be better. James Kendall, only thing that erases UNC is a win at Georgia, and a win at Georgia isn't walking through the door. Drew Johnson says he got one thing to say. Start Dontavius Braswell running back. He is a freak. Bisbee, give UNC some credit. Their defense played aggressively and seemed to be coached very well. I mean, they were, but. Brewer Nation says, here's a take for you. Hot take, at least. Doty will be more successful at wide receiver than DK at running back. Interesting. Okay. I mean, maybe so. Anyways, guys, phone lines are open. 843-790-3377. Austin Miller says a 7-point win will still feel like a loss. Oh, man. Coach Ford, your phone will ring if we beat Georgia, Tennessee, Clemson, A&M. You're right. Significant winning. Significant winning. Aaron Hodges says the post-game call-in show for UNC was lit. You couldn't even take a break. Aaron, the plan will be for the post-game call-in shows not to take a break. I doubt this one this weekend is going to be an hour and a half long. I mean, as long as the phone lines are blowing up, we'll keep it rolling. But, I mean, we'll see. Maybe it is. Maybe it is a long one. We'll see. So, the information station, Furman will have trouble with our wide receivers and tight ends. You would certainly think so. I think the Gamecocks will out-athlete Furman in this game. Brian Alexander, I don't understand NIL and how the paying of players exactly works. If you drop a lot of money on Rattler, it was a waste if you can't break off a little for offensive linemen. Good point. Steven, my brother, does it change your perspective seeing that Clemson lost to Duke when we play against them? Does it change your perspective for that game? I don't know that it does. I'm not one to week to week change my predictions for the season or anything crazy like that. So I'm going to stick with I'm going to stick with the picks that I had in the preseason, but, I'm subject to change those picks. We get to the week of the game and, Clemson's season's gone down the tube. Well, you never know. I might be picking the Gamecocks to win that football game. So there's a possibility of that, no doubt. Anyways, guys, 843-790-3377 here on this Friday. Things are crazy on social media when you have the slapdicks agreeing with our takes. Truly. It's a weird thing. It's a wild thing for sure, but here we are. Anyways, guys, we'd love to hear your picks for the weekend. Texas, Alabama, Texas A&M and Miami, Ole Miss, Tulane, Cal and Auburn, and also Gamecocks and Furman. How you think that game's going to play out as well? Jake Crane's 10-legger. He's got Kansas money line, Wake money line. So he's got Wake Forest, Wake money line, Notre Dame money line, Iowa money line, Oklahoma minus 10.5, Houston money line, Rutgers money line, Air Force money line, Mississippi State money line, and Coastal Carolina. Plus 1431 on that 10-legger. Damn. Okay. Interesting. Let's see. Michael Edwards says Bama covers. Jacob E. says about to put the mortgage on Colorado plus the points. Brewer Nation, TSUS, the man of the people. Brewer Nation, you're the man. I appreciate it. Travis says get Harbor on a reverse or something. Let the kid take a kickoff. Does Nick Harbor touch the football this weekend? We'll see. Matt Garner, have to utilize the tight end for them to be in trouble. Indeed. The offensive line's got a block long enough for Spencer Rattler to utilize the tight end, to be fair. Frank says if we lose, the call-in show will go on all night. Yeah, I don't think we could do enough after a loss to Furman. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Peyton.
Peyton, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
What's going on, Chris? How about yourself, man? You doing all right?
I am doing fantastic, my friend. I appreciate you asking. What's up?
So, calling in to talk specific players as far as who I'd like to see and who I'm looking for a good performance out of tomorrow. Yesterday, I misspoke. I said Mosiah Bennett. I 100% realized that he's still in high school. So what I meant to say was I meant to say Nick. I meant to say Nick Harbor is what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for big things out of him. Unless he's still nursing this phantom injury. I'm not necessarily saying he's faking it, y'all. I'm just saying we don't know hardly anything about what's going on with him as far as where his health is and if he's ready to go or not. It still remains to be seen. But I'm saying if Juice Wells is anything less than 115%, why on earth would you play him this weekend and not save him for the start of SEC play? I think if we wheel him out there and he's 90% and he re-aggravates the injury and then he's out for, God forbid, 3-4 weeks, I think we're going to look back and really start to have questions on this coaching staff as far as decision making. But like I said, man, I want to see Nick Harbor, man. I want to see what he can do with the ball in his hands, or at least just the ball put on his way. I'd love to see Omega Blake. I talked on it yesterday. It's a big question mark as to why he's not out there, especially considering all the hype that he had coming into this season, especially after fall camp. You mean that's pretty much the only guy's name you consistently heard that, hey, he had a great day today, or he looked fast today, or he had some great catches today, and virtually no injuries. I didn't hear any injury reports on Omega Blake this whole offseason, so
yeah,
he's not injured. So I'd like to see him, and I'd definitely like to see Braswell. I got to see what he's working with, especially with all the question marks we got at RB. We need to see some new guys. So, are there any guys that you're looking for specifically?
Well, I mean, we talked about the offensive line enough. I definitely the young guys. I'd like to see if this is the week that Lenore Sellers gets in there in a special package. I'd like to see, like you mentioned, I mean, Nicholas Harbor's the low-hanging fruit. I want to see the rest of the running back room, Mario Anderson, Dontavius Brownsville, just get a look in some game action. You know what I mean? Like, until you find something that's working consistently, let's get a look at some other guys. Elijah Caldwell, I'd really like to see at wide receiver. Omega Blake, like you mentioned. I want to see Amarian Brown making big plays for South Carolina, building back some confidence. I think, obviously, because of the drops last week, it could affect him. Xavier Legette building off what he did in week one. And I agree with you, Peyton, to your point. I mean, we all want to see Juice Wells play, but I mean, if he's not 110%, there's no reason he should trot out there. And no coach is completely transparent about injuries. No coach is. But it's sickening to me that, like, this is becoming very Muschampish, the whole injury thing, and not, Juice Wells' name was hardly mentioned all week outside of, well, he tells me he's going to play. So there you go. Well, what does that mean? Like, I get gamesmanship, trying to have competitive advantage, but, like, what good does that do? And you toyed with us all preseason, said he was good to go, and then he couldn't even play a whole game against UNC. So, like, he's not ready to go. Something is not right. So if he plays and he balls, I hope that's what happens. I hope he really is healthy. But like you mentioned, if he's anything less than 110%, he shouldn't be out there. Defensively, I mean, I want to see Grayson Puff Howard flying around. I want to see Umi Zulu off the edge. I want to see Elijah Davis, Nick Sanders, TJ Barrett, what have you. I want to see Jelon Kilgore making plays. So, like, a lot of these young guys that we're going to need, I want to see those guys. But, most importantly, Peyton, I want to see a big win. That's it. I want to see South Carolina look like the SEC team and Furman look like the FCS team and the Gamecocks. Establish that from the jump and look like a fundamentally sound team and eliminate some of those errors we saw from week one.
Yeah, I have full, utter faith in Shane Beamer to turn this ship around and get us headed in the right direction. We definitely got started off on the wrong foot to start this season, but if there's any coach I'd rather have at the helm, he doesn't exist. Because it's Shane Beamer's our guy. I'm wholeheartedly sold on him, and I think he knows how hot of a seat Montario Hardesty's on if we can't manifest a run game against the Furman Paladins. Now, granted, it's only 2 games through the season, but if you can't get it done against what was believed to be a very porous UNC defense, and against an FCS team, if you cannot manifest a run game between those two, now offensive line definitely has a massive part to do with that. But our running backs has got to start. We got to start seeing some production. So I have full confidence in Shane Beamer to pull it around. I don't think the season's in the dump yet, but if we lose this one on Saturday, it ain't looking pretty. I'll say that. But I locked it in yesterday, 38-21. I see you 38-20. I think that's going to be pretty accurate. I think we'll seize control late in the game and ride that on into victory. So, that's what I'm feeling like going into this Saturday. I think we're going to get it done.
Indeed, Peyton. Should be a lot of fun, man. Should be a lot of fun for sure. Looking forward to a big victory and moving to 1-1 and a successful home opener at Willie B for sure.
That's it, man. It's going to be an electric atmosphere for 2023 home opener. It's supposedly a sellout. It's going to be electric on the Cockwalk as usual, and it's going to be a fun night, especially if we win big. And I think there's a possibility for that as well. But I'm looking forward to it as well. It's going to be a great night, great game, great weekend. So thanks, Spurs Up Show. Go Cox, buddy. I'll holler at you. I'll definitely holler at you tomorrow, especially if we win big. You'll hear from me after tomorrow's game. So you take care of Chris.
Sounds good, Peyton. I appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure chatting with you. Great stuff from Peyton, guys. We're going to jump into a quick break on the other side. I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more here on this Friday. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also brought to you by our friends over at A1 Air Quality Consultants. Headaches, coughing, running nose, while in the office or just in your home, call A1 Air Quality Consultants to have your air checked today. From Columbia to Asheville, Anderson to Charlotte, they are your breath of fresh air for all of your air quality needs. Be sure to give them a call or shoot them a text today at 864-619-2092. That's 864-619-2092. You can also contact them via email at a1airqualityconsultants@gmail.com. Be sure to check them out. We thank A1 Air Quality Consultants for their love and support of the Spurs Up Show, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya.
Muscle Dougie Ho.
Hi, guys, are back here on this Friday, September the 8th, 2023. Taking your questions, your comments, your calls. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Let's see. Somebody saying that turf toe is the deal for Juice Wells. Okay. I don't think anything official's come out, but that would make a lot of sense. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Robbie Davis is actually Hall of Famer.
Robbie, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little tired because I walked this morning before the show came on, but I'm not quite done walking yet. I still got to get 2,000 more steps to reach my 10,000 goal. So,
Very nice. Very nice, my friend. You getting ready for the
after
big
the
road
show
trip
goes
tomorrow to
off.
Willie B, I'd assume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta get my legs used to getting used to walking all over. So I'm just walking as much as I can this week because all that walking I'm gonna be doing tomorrow, I gotta get my legs used to it.
Got to get your sea legs under you, Robbie. I
So-
totally understand.
So what better way to do it than to walk around the neighborhood? But before I head to Cola tomorrow, some friends of mine from the upstate are coming to see me, and they're taking me to breakfast in the morning.
Love that, Robbie. That's a fantastic way to start the day.
But I was almost tempted to change my prediction last night and give you a different prediction, but I'm gonna stick with my prediction that I gave you yesterday. But like I said, I was very, 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 very tempted to change my prediction.
Tempted to change it how?
Either way,
Tempted to change it how?
Well, I was tempted to give us more than 38 points,
Okay.
but
Fair
I'm
enough.
not going to do it. But I have, like I said earlier on in the week, I have a feeling that this team is going to play with a chip on their shoulder and with something to prove. But like you said, right? And I said this last week before the North Carolina game. We have got to keep, in order to beat Furman, we have got to keep their offense off of the field because, like you said also earlier on today, if their offense is able to move the football and get first downs and keep Rattler off the field, the higher the chances are that they pull off the upset. I say screw it. Don't even give them the opportunity for an upset. If we win the toss, take the damn ball and run it down their throat.
I would agree, man. Set the tone early. That's a big key in this one, man. That's why I said start fast, stay fast. Don't give Furman any semblance of reason to believe that they can win this football game or even keep it close into the second half.
And even if this happens, and I'm not saying it is, but if this happens and we go into the half and we are, say, up, just for sake of argument, just say we are up 28-0 at half. Okay? If I was Shane Beamer, that's not good enough. No. You go out here in the second half and you do the same damn thing. No mercy. Because if you think Georgia's going to give us mercy next week, you are sadly mistaken. Okay? Now, am I giving us a chance to win next week in Athens? No, probably not. I'm probably going to pick
us to get our butts kicked. But in this game tomorrow, we have got to start fast, finish strong, and beat the dog mess out of Furman and give them their paycheck and tell them to get the hell out. You're like, here, you took your ass whooping. Here's your money. Now get out.
I'd love to see that as well, Robbie. I'd love to see that as well, for sure. This fan base needs a W, my friend. We need a W.
And I will be I will be fired up and ready to go, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, come tomorrow morning. And also, I will be pulling for the Charleston Southern Buccaneers. Go Bucks, okay? Beat Clemson, all right? Even though they've got a sour taste in their mouth, I don't care. I'm pulling for the Buccaneers, buddy. Yes, indeedy. I was taught my ABCs at an early age. Anybody but Clemson. That's how I was taught my ABCs. Anybody but Clemson. I will not pull for Dabo Winney. I will not do it. Did you hear about what he said in his press conference, by the way?
What did he say?
He said that after getting beat by 4 tutties, he said in the press conference, I liked what I saw. And I'm like, are you kidding me? If I was you, I'd be pissed. You had 3 red zone turnovers. One of them was almost a scoop and score. And you lost to Duke 28-7. I would be pissed if I was Dabo Swinney. And I'm telling you, if you play like that this week, Charleston Southern's probably going to beat you.
Indeed, Robbie. Scores a big one over Furman.
Because I despise Satterfield, go Colorado. Go Colorado, dadgummit.
Indeed. Robbie, y'all enjoy yourselves at Willie B,
right,
man. Be safe. You and Marion R26, enjoy your special breakfast, and I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. I will talk to you on Monday and give you my 10 cents.
Sounds good, Robbie. You're the man. I appreciate it.
You too, buddy.
Yeah,
all
man.
right.
Take care. Great stuff from Robbie Davis. Guys, phone lines are open. Continue to chime in. I want to hear your thoughts. Jake Crowley says, here to say I'm so pumped. Or actually, wait, that was already. Here we go. Sam Cresswell says, these Gamecocks are going to show out. I'm telling you, I'm putting my week's paycheck on it, and they're going to go and fight and kick ass. Hey, who do you think would win in a fist fight, Shane Beamer or Will Muschamp? But here's the kicker. Muschamp has one hand tied behind his back, but he also has brass knuckles. I will take Beamer every time just because I'm not taking Will Muschamp in anything. I was taught my ABCs anything but Clemson. That is a Robbie Davis quote indeed. Cocky Joe says, what section is everyone in tomorrow? I'm 506 for this game. Very nice. Our guy John Rice is 303. Represent for the 303. Guys, this is, believe it or not, this is going to be the first time. This is going to be the first time I have not even been in the city of Columbia. I'm trying to think. Because 2020, right, because of the pandemic, we hosted watch parties even for home games at a bar called Overtime Bar and Grill down the road from Willie B. But I went to a couple of games later that year. But, I mean, this is the first time that I will not be in the city of Columbia and the first time that I will miss a South Carolina home game or not be attending a South Carolina home game that wasn't pandemic related for the first time since 2018, guys. It's been 5 years. So, with that being said, you all know it's by choice. I'm excited, guys, for the post-game call-in show. It's going to be an absolute blast. Looking forward to it, watching all the games in studio as well. We really enjoyed ourselves last week. I know I did. It was a great time. And like I said, that post-game call-in show, I'm looking forward to it. So, Excited for tomorrow. Miriam R26, Section 1. Okay, Ruination says section, home, seat, recliner. Indeed. Yoda says, I'm couch, living room section. I'm the same way, guys. I'm the same way. Probably going to smoke a cigar tomorrow. Have us a day. I will say, like, that was a lot of fun last week, man. I had a buddy of mine come over. We smoked a cigar. We grilled out some food. We watched other games. We chilled, hung out. It was a good time. So I'm looking forward to doing it yet again tomorrow and throughout the rest of the season. And, of course, guys, the post-game call-in show was just electric. So can't wait to do that all year long. Also, guys, do not forget we're going to have merchandise on hand for sale outside of Williams-Brice Stadium. I will let you guys know the exact location of that tomorrow morning once we figure that out. But we will have merchandise, specifically the Beamer Ball T-shirts, white, garnet, and black. We'll have some hats as well. We will not have towels for the Furman game, but by Mississippi State, I can assure you we will have towels on hand to sell at the game. So looking forward to it. Going to be really awesome, again, to provide that merchandise and be able to get you guys on game day. And anybody who needs anything, stop by. Be sure, again, just stay tuned. We will post the exact location of where that merchandise will be tomorrow. Lynn Turner says, I'm section 7. Same seats for 33 years. Lynn, that's awesome. That's awesome. Rebecca says, if I don't call in, we're not having no luck. I guess that's how it works, Rebecca. I guess that's how it works. By the way, how about NFL? Lions beating the Chiefs? Wow. Lions beating the Chiefs. Big time. Anyways, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377 here on this Friday. Again, guys, be sure tomorrow night, tune in the best post-game call-in show. Sorry about that. The best post-game call-in show that is out there, unfiltered, unedited, taking your comments, your questions, most importantly, your calls. It'll happen within 10 minutes, basically immediately following the conclusion of South Carolina and Furman tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. Jacob E. says, Chiefs wide receivers couldn't catch a cold last night. Truly shows how important Kelsey is to their team. Let's see. Mantis, the prediction was at the top of the show, Mantis, beginning of the show back around noon. I've got 38-20 Gamecocks with the victory over the Paladins. I think South Carolina, a little bit of a slow start. I think it could be sluggish early. I think South Carolina still is going to have some issues on the offensive line, maybe even defensively as well. Furman going to try to shorten the game, run the football. I think the Gamecocks, though, are going to out-athlete the Furman Paladins, pull away, and I think they'll get the W 38-20. Guys, that being said, let's jump into one final break. On the other side, I want to continue to hear from you as we close out this Friday and we officially go into Furman game weekend. All that and more on the other side. You're tuned in to The Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar Lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars. And there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also brought to you by our friends over at A1 Air Quality Consultants. Headaches, coughing, running nose while in the office or just in your home, call A1 Air Quality Consultants to have your air checked today. From Columbia to Asheville, Anderson to Charlotte, they are your breath of fresh air for all of your air quality needs. Be sure to give them a call or shoot them a text today at 864-619-2092. That's 864-619-2092. You can also contact them via email at a1airqualityconsultants@gmail.com. Be sure to check them out. We thank A1 Air Quality Consultants for their love and support of the Spurs Up Show, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya.
Muscle Dougie Ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Friday, September the 8th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Final 10 minutes or so of the show as we're taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377 here on this Friday. Again, guys, cannot say thank you all enough for your love, your support. Again, guys, as I mentioned earlier, I want to repeat myself, though. If anybody's had any issues over the last couple of months with the online store, with the overall quality of the product, errors, whatever it might be, reach out and we will get that corrected. We'll get that fixed and we'll get that taken care of. So thank y'all again. Moving back into your questions. Ethan K says, we need to win by 21 plus points for me to feel more confident going into SEC play. I would agree. I mean, Travis says 38-20. I think you're just echoing my prediction for sure. But I mean, I just, guys, I need to see more out of South Carolina. I can't go on record and confidently say 45-10 or 56-13 until I see this team improve
Rebecca.
drastically. Let's jump to the lines here. Rebecca, what's going on? How are you?
Hey,
What's going on? What's up?
I finally called in, so everybody don't worry. We're gonna have good luck.
There you go. That's it. That's it. Now we're going to go out there and whoop Furman's tail. That's right.
Whoop their ass.
Whoop their ass, indeed.
All I gotta say is go Gamecocks.
Go Gamecocks. Are you going to – you're not going to the game, are you?
No, I wish I was.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you indeed. Yeah, it should be a fun night. I think, South Carolina's in a great position to bounce back and taking on a team that they should beat, and I think they will beat. And more importantly, though, Rebecca, how's things with you? How's things with you're never one to refrain from telling us about your personal life. How's the new husband and everything else? How's life going?
Well, he's doing good. He's living with me and my grandfather now.
Okay.
And he's a Georgia Bulldog fan. As I've mentioned that before. Which I ain't got nothing against Georgia. Because I really don't. There's no sense in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just me with Tennessee and Clemson. I mean, yeah, I don't like the other teams, but personally, on the personal note, I more hate Tennessee balls than anything else. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Yeah, indeed.
Anyway, I was going to tell you something.
What's that?
At my local grocery store, and over here we have a Piggly Wiggly over here where I live.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lady that was selling signs and stuff for a women's addiction recovery area.
Mm-hmm.
And for Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was going to tell you was that this girl asked me, she said, "Are you a South Carolina Gamecocks fan?" And I said, "Yes, I am. Why?" And she said, "I got a sign in my car. And I'll send the picture to you, Chris, privately on Facebook Messenger." And she went to her car and got it, and I fell in love with that sign. I was like, she wanted to sell it to me for $40, but she saw my face and she saw that I was about to have happy crying tears because I seen the sign and everything. It has the big old logo of the Gamecock.
Mm-hmm.
And it says South Carolina Gamecocks on it. It's like it's like wood, but it's not wood. And it's round and everything. You'll have to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to send you the picture so that you can see it. And what I was trying to say is that she was wanting to sell it, but she saw my face and everything, and I was about to cry and everything. And she said, I'll let you, she said, here's your sign with South Carolina Gamecocks on it. She gave it to me, and I gave her a hug for it. I was like, then I told her about my great aunt and my great uncle and where they lived and all that. So I was excited about the sign that I got. So,
that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. A touching story indeed.
Do what?
A touching story indeed.
Right. So I got it in my other room that I watched South Carolina in. You know, my other room that I showed you. That's got all the South Carolina stuff in it.
Yeah.
I put it up on the wall, so it's on the wall now. So.
Very nice.
I thought I'd share that with everybody.
Well, Rebecca, I appreciate that. Great stuff as always, Rebecca.
Well, go Gamecocks and beat Furman, right?
Beat Furman, yeah. Furman.
Furman. I don't know why I get their names mixed up. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But
you're
anyway,
good.
whoop their ass.
Whoop their ass indeed. Rebecca, great to hear from you as always. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, Rebecca, what a storyteller. That story was longer than a flight to Barcelona would be. Anybody see that story, by the way? The diarrhea on the plane or whatever? That kind of describes how Clemson's first game, and probably South Carolina's went. Poop on a plane, got to turn around, and I don't know. Things just go awry. So, Furman, the Gamecocks and Furman do battle. Anyways, guys. Somebody said that I was scrolling through Twitter. I plead the fifth. 843-790-3377. I guess, guys, we only have 2 minutes left. So, I appreciate y'all so much, man. The love, support, like I mentioned. Check out tsus.store, thespursupshow.com for the, I say new store. It's the old store, but it's revamped and it's back, which I'm elated about. I'm ecstatic about. I'm so happy that, you do things in business, guys. You make decisions. You make the best possible decision you can in that moment. And, you make adjustments along the way and you react and you learn and all that good stuff. And so, again, I appreciate you guys through that and really excited. Glad we were able to catch it and make this adjustment early in the season. Because as things heat up, obviously, the merchandise is going to continue to sell and you guys are going to continue to support. And I really do appreciate it. Guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon so you get notifications of when we go live. We drop new video content as well. Don't forget the TSUS post-game call-in show after the Furman game. We'll be live immediately following South Carolina's game against Furman, taking your questions, comments, calls, and we'll kind of go as long as you guys want to go, right? If it's a slow night, we might just go 30 minutes. You saw last week we went an hour and a half. That was unexpected as well. But I'd imagine the phone lines will be ringing off the hook. Really excited to hear from you guys immediately following that game right here, the Spurs Up Show on YouTube. That's where the show will air. And, of course, we'll share that on social media tomorrow after the game. And also, of course, guys, the podcast drops every single day, 5 p.m. Eastern, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can check us out there at the Spurs Up Show. Guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Excited for the game tomorrow. Gamecocks, it should be a fun one. Getting back to 1-1, taking out some of the frustration on somebody after that disappointing week one. But the good news is this, guys, it's just one game. There's a lot of season left, and things always feel better when you come back to Willie B under the lights. The home opener should be fun. Y'all go into the game. Y'all be safe. Have a good time. Enjoy your weekend of college football, guys. Appreciate you all tuning in. Go Cox. Beat Furman. And we will talk to you all on Monday.